former friend, Basim Ahmed, for unpaid rental car fees.
Ms. Castro, is your claim that the defendant owes you money for a rental car that you rented in your name for him?
Correct.
All right. And you know him for how long?
Since we were children, we lived across the street from each other.
And from what company did you rent this car for him?
Dollar Rent-A-Car.
Dollar?
Yes.
I'd like to see the contract.
This is a bill and everything that Dollar.
I don't want a
charged me.
bill. I want the contract that you signed for the car from Dollar.
I have it. It's in my purse.
Perfect. Get it.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
All right, Ms. Castro, now I'd like to see the rental agreement. What's your name?
Margaret Castro.
Well, that's not who this is.
Oh, Margaret Machine. I have two last names. I'm married.
Did you sign this?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to read what it says under additional drivers. What does it say, additional drivers?
There's not supposed to be no additional drivers.
Excuse me?
There's not supposed to be any additional drivers.
That's what it says. You think I'm going to compensate you because you gave him a car when you told Dollar Rent-A-Car that there were going to be no additional drivers and he doesn't have a driver's license?
Well, when we rented the vehicle, he showed me a valid driver's license, and also I had
I want you
retaken
to
the
show
car
me
away
your
from
valid
him.
driver's license in the name Castro.
It's in my purse. Can I go back?
Yes. Show me a valid driver's license in the name Castro. Yeah.
Can I say something?
No. Not to worry, good. Sir, you look like you're really going to come out on top on this case.
I still...
Don't speak.
You're talking to me.
You think you're smarter than me?
No.
These idiots think they're smarter than me?
Idiots?
Huh?
Idiots. Who's an idiot?
Valid driver's license in the name Castro. Valid driver's license in the name, whatever the name on the contract is.
I have a million.
Stop! Give it to me. You think you're smarter than I am?
No.
Goodbye. Let me explain something to you, madam. According to your complaint, which I read very carefully, you had an agreement with the defendant to rent a car for him. You rented a car for him, according to you, and he was supposed to pay you for it. And you also told the car company that you were going to be the only driver, whether your name was Castro. And this is not a valid driver's license. This is an identification card. That's different. We understand each other. They don't rent you a car with a United States Uniformed Services card, identification and privilege, that you can buy on 14th Street in Manhattan. Do we understand
That's
each other?
That's a valid United States military license.
Do we understand each other? Very good. Goodbye, Miss Castro.
No, but wait a minute.
Goodbye.
No.
All these are excused. You may step out.
So what happened now?
Out the back door to your right. That's
just
what
a
happened.
second. Bert, I want to
what
tell...
about the tickets that he
I want to tell him...
and the loan?
Quiet. I want to tell you what happened, sir. You won.
Thank you.
Out the back door to your right.
Wait a minute. What about the loan and the tickets that he owes me?
Pay them.
Judy continues in a moment.
That's case number 241 on the calendar, the matter of Casno versus Salinas.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Casno, facts of the case are relatively simple and not in dispute. What kind of a car do you own?
Is a 2006 BMW 325i.
And you brought it to the defendant's shop for the purposes of doing some repairs.
Correct. The vehicle had been vandalized and needed body work.
Brought it to Mr. Salinas' shop and you left it there. On what date did you leave it there?
The 20th of March 2010 at about 8:15 in the morning.
Is that correct so far, Mr. Salinas?
That's correct.
Then your car was involved in a hit and run.
Yes, Your Honor.
On what date?
The same day.
Do you know what time?
I'm going to say roughly 7:30, Your Honor. I wasn't there.
In the evening?
In the evening.
How were you notified that your car was involved with a hit and run?
Well, my wife and I were at home and heard a loud knock at our front door. Looked out and there was a Los Angeles Sheriff's deputy at the door. He demanded to know my name and where my car was, and I subsequently learned that the vehicle had been involved in a hit-and-run accident.
Do you know what kind of a hit and run?
Again, I'm getting this...
Involving a pedestrian and another car?
No, it was another vehicle, Your Honor. I have the driver of that other vehicle in court with me.
Stand up, please. Tell me your name.
Stephanie Delgado.
You were involved in an accident on the 20th of March?
Yes, I was the other driver that hit the BMW.
You hit the BMW?
Well, he was making an unsafe left turn, and I was going straight on Sepulveda, and I guess he was going to get into a car accident with the car in the right lane, but he stepped on he was trying to step on the brake, and once I viewed the whole scene, I tried stopping, but I couldn't. I hit the car, stepped out of the vehicle to check if the other driver was fine. Once I approached the vehicle, it was like gonna flee the scene, so I approached it and it took off with me. So
what do you mean it took off with you?
Like it dragged me.
Car dragged you?
Yes.
How far?
Like less than a block, like around the corner, kind of.
Were you injured?
Yeah, both knees. I had a back contusion, hip contusion, my ankles. I have pictures if you want to see them.
There are also photos of her vehicle.
To my vehicle.
I'd like to see that. Did you see the driver of the car?
Yes, it was a Hispanic driver, and small world, a friend of mine is actually cousins with the driver.
Do you know the driver's name?
I gave the whole information to my detective that was taking care of my case. So
Did they arrest the driver?
No, they were never capable of finding the driver. I actually have a sheet that states that they were never capable of finding who was a real driver or any information based on the driver.
But you knew who it was, or somebody you knew?
Yes, because my friend had approached me and she told me so.
You can't tell her what anybody told you. Okay. And Mr. Salinas, there was lots of damage done to the plaintiff's BMW. Thank you. You can sit down now. You say it's not your responsibility. I'm ready to hear that. You own the body shop that accepted his car.
Right.
Somehow his car got off your lot and was involved in an accident.
Right.
So it was being driven in an unauthorized manner.
Yes.
You explain to me why that's not your fault.
First of all, the vehicle, when this guy took the vehicle, I was not in the shop.
I don't care whether you were in the shop or if you're on Mars.
Well, this guy, he doesn't work for me.
I don't care whether he doesn't work for you either.
The only problem that I see right here, it was my fault.
I don't care
not
what you
having
see.
Insurance.
Listen to me. I don't care what you see. You own
a body
shop.
Right.
You accepted his car for the purpose of repairing it, which is what your body shop is for.
Right.
Once you take his car into your shop, you are responsible for it. Now, I assume you have insurance. In this case, someone got the keys to his car.
Right.
That's as a result of your negligence, either yours or one of your employees.
He was not my employee.
Just a second. Somehow, Mr. Salinas, I believe, sir, that you're confused, and I'm trying to explain it to you. But you're going to have to do something that God really was gifted about. He gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Right. So I want you to put on your 2 ears and listen with your 2 ears. One way or another, either because you gave someone the car keys or you allowed the car keys to be placed in a place where they could be taken by somebody in an unauthorized manner, it's your fault. You are responsible for the safekeeping of that car and its keys. If a burglar comes into your store and you have the keys locked up in a safe, so that you have done everything that you can to safeguard those keys, maybe you could say, well, I can't be responsible because I've done everything that I can to safeguard those keys. I put them in a safe when I left my business. I locked them up. someone came in with dynamite, opened up the safe, and took the keys. But that's not what happened.
Well, I can say I'm not responsible if anybody breaks to my place and takes a car. I'm responsible not having insurance, but not somebody trying to steal a car in my property.
Listen to me carefully. You were negligent. You or your employee was negligent in...
It was not my employee.
2 ears, 1 mouth, 2 ears. You or one of your agents left his keys in such a place that somebody got access to them and took his car. You are responsible for that because it's your place of business.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I mean, are you thick or what? I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer.
Right.
Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here.
And later today,
I was downstairs and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child cursing out my little girl, saying, quit. And she's holding my little girl up by one leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
What else?
There's an additional issue that I have a traffic collision report where the defendant apparently told the investigators that it was his employee that had taken the car.
Listen to me. It doesn't make any difference.
It makes a big difference because I was harassed by the police after that.
It doesn't make a difference. You permitted his car to be taken off your lot. I mean, are you thick or what? Listen to me. Have you ever been to a lawyer?
Yeah.
Just a second. I'm going to try to get it back to its basics to you, Mr. Salinas. What have you been to a lawyer for?
For different reasons.
Did you pay the lawyer money?
Yes, I do.
You paid the lawyer money for their expertise.
Right.
For their advice to you. You have never been to a lawyer that's smarter than I am. So what I'm trying to do, this is not a conversation we're having, Mr. Salinas.
Right.
I'm telling you what the law is. And you keep arguing with me. How stupid you would be to go to a lawyer. Listen, ears, Mr. Salinas. It would be the same thing if you went to a lawyer, gave him $5,000 to represent you in a business matter, and asked his advice, and he told you, and you're having a fight with him. Why would you pay a lawyer to have a fight with them? You're paying the money because you know that they're smarter than you are. I can't fix a carburetor in a car, and I can't get a ding out of the door. I would go to Eric because that's your business and that's your expertise.
Right.
This is not a discussion you and I are having. The facts are very simple. It's your responsibility. I'm telling you that as a lawyer.
Well,
that's my listen to me. That's my training.
I understand.
If somebody said to you, brought their car into you and you said, listen, it needs 2 coats of paint and it needs to be buffed out and it'll be good as new. And the person said, no, you can't do it. You have to buff it out 4 times and you have to take the paint off and you have to use a primer on it. You'd say to them, listen, you want to do that? Go to somebody else. I'm telling you, this is my expertise. This is what you have to do to get your door looking brand new. I'm telling you, I'm the lawyer.
Right.
Unless you went to law school, sir, and practiced law for 40 years, you have to rely on my judgment. That's why you're here. I'm telling you, it's your responsibility. You did not safeguard his car. You allowed the keys to that car to fall into the hands of someone who drove it in an unauthorized way without his permission while it was in your custody. The law says it's your responsibility. He's going to answer me again.
No.
He's going to answer me again. I don't understand it. Could I have been nicer? Could I have been nicer?
You did everything.
I did everything I could. I really did everything I could.
For the same reason I offered to fix the car for free.
Be quiet, Mr. Salinas.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go when you broke down the door.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Casno says auto body shop owner Eric Salinas owes for the cost to repair his BMW. Robert says the car was stolen and wrecked while in Eric's possession.
Now, I don't think that you drove the car that collided with his car that dragged her for a block. I don't think you did that at all. I don't care whether you did it. The car was your responsibility until he picked it up after you fixed it. You're an insurer for that car's safety. And if you, an employee, somebody else, negligently leaves the keys around so that somebody can take it and they drive it and they have an accident with it, it's your fault. And if instead of injuring her, it had killed her, she would sue your company and she would win. And the fact that you may not have insurance is your problem, not my problem. How much did it cost to fix your car?
Total out of pocket was $5,161.34.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are
Thank you, Your Honor.
excused. You may step out.
I don't got nothing to say.
Well, obviously, I'm glad I was able to get some compensation for my losses.
Mr. Robert talked to the detective, and the detective, they tried to put something together. I'm like,
I had not had the police harass him. I knew really nothing about it. I could really offer nothing to the police because I wasn't there when the accident happened.
the only thing that I feel guilty was not having insurance at that time, but I'm not responsible for somebody can come and break in.
You got to do the best you can to try to protect yourself as a consumer, and sometimes can't always do everything.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soletic versus Brodalla, step forward, please.
Matthew Soletic is suing his child's grandfather, Richard Brodalla, for the cost to make renovations to his home. Richard is countersuing for the cost of a car engine and a broken door.
Mr. Soletic, I assume that you and this lady were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
And this lady is the daughter of this gentleman?
Yes, ma'am.
And you and this lady have a child together, a girl?
Yes, we do.
So that would make this gentleman your daughter's grandfather?
Correct.
For a period of time, you lived in Mr. Brodalla's home?
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Along with your girlfriend?
Yes, I did.
And your daughter?
Yes, and her son.
You lived there from when to when?
From September of 2009 until April 11th of 2010.
And where did you live prior to September of 2009?
I had a house that I was renting in a different part of the city of Crystal.
And what happened to that house?
I wound up losing the house because I couldn't.
You got evicted?
Yes.
So when you got evicted from your old house, Mr. Brodalla took you in?
Yes, he did.
This is your lawsuit. Your lawsuit says while you were living there, you did a lot of renovations, a lot of construction in the house. You want him to pay you back for the materials that you put in the house because he kicked you out of the house after there was an altercation between you and his daughter.
I was not kicked out of the house. I was made to leave by the police. He never kicked me out. He just decided not to.
Somebody kicked you out. The police kicked you out.
Yes.
Because somebody called the police. Who called the police?
I believe it was Jessica, my daughter's mother.
Okay, and you want the materials. Mr. Brodalla says that that was not the agreement. He never told you he was going to reimburse you for the materials. He's got some nonsense counterclaim about some engine that you purchased for him way before you were even living with him. Right, Mr. Brodalla?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brodalla, let's forget about that nonsense. Will you please? It's sort of irritating to me.
Ma'am, I actually did give Mr. Brodalla a large sum of money, not the entire amount for the engine, but he gave the money back to me and told me to hang on to it, that he did not need the money, that I should use the money to start my life with what I thought would have been my family.
So how did you do that?
Excuse me? How did I do about
So how did you do that? If he gave you back the money and said, I want you to use it to get a start on your life,
to be honest
what did you do
ma'am,
with it?
The money that I had that he had given back to me, I used to invest into a vehicle that I'm still trying to sell to this day. And I spent the rest of it right here.
Just a second. So you used it to invest in a vehicle?
Yes.
How does that start a new life with his daughter?
Well, to be honest with you, it's hard to convince someone to move out of their dad's house when he pays all of their bills and makes everything so easy for them. It's hard to convince them to move out into the real world and you know, have
let's stop for a moment, sir. What was the rent that you were paying or not paying in the house that you got evicted from? How much rent was your share?
$450 a month.
And how much money did you pay Mr. Brodalla to live in his house?
I didn't pay him.
Listen.
As far as rent goes, I did not pay him any rent money.
So you paid him nothing?
No, I paid him quite a bit.
What'd you pay him?
I did quite a bit of work in his home for him,
Great.
along with
I'm
I
asking
offered
you,
to pay for quite
I'm
a few
asking
things.
you, Mr. Sedalic, what you paid him in rent. The answer is nothing.
Because he told me not to pay him anything. That's not
Great. And because you felt as if you couldn't just live there like a bum, because you're a big, strong, strapping guy, you did some projects around the house.
Mr. Brodell and I had a verbal contract.
No, you
that
didn't.
he was. Yes, we did.
Baloney.
Here, I have proof of it.
Baloney.
There's a note that Jessica had wrote to her father the night before I wound up needing to leave
Listen
the house,
to me.
telling him to give me the money. So I
Listen to me. Is that a contract between you and the defendant?
no, but
No but. There's no but. A contract is between a plaintiff and a defendant. Show me a contract that exists between you and Mr. Brodella.
we had a verbal contract.
Yeah,
and
no, you didn't.
I'm not the one that's lying about it, Your Honor.
Yeah, right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, you want to tell me about the day that the police got called?
Sure. I was downstairs and I wake up to hearing the mother of my child screaming and cursing out my little girl, saying, pardon my language, but quit. And she's holding my little girl up by one leg, so just the top of her head's touching the ground, because she wouldn't hold still when she was trying to change her diaper.
So what did you do?
I became upset and I told her.
Tell me what you did.
I looked down and I see dirty diapers sitting all over the floor, and I picked up the diaper and I said, will you throw this in the trash? And I threw the diaper at her. And in between her cursing me out and yelling at me, she decided to run into her room and close the door. At that time, because of altercations we had in the past, I decided that I needed to leave. And in the course of doing that, I told her all I wanted to do was give my little girl a kiss and that I was going to leave. But, of course, you know, that wouldn't happen.
What did you do?
I tried to get into her room and she...
And what did you do?
I broke down the door.
That's where you go, and you broke down the door. Now, I assume she has an order of protection against you, Mr. Sedalic.
Yes, she does.
And was that an order issued with your consent, or was there a trial?
It was with my consent.
Now, you also have visitation with your daughter.
No, I do not.
You don't have the right to see your daughter under supervision?
I've seen my little girl one time.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do you have the right to see your child under supervision?
Yes.
Who gave you supervised visitation?
A guardian ad litem.
Guardian ad litem was, you know who the guardian ad litem is?
Yes.
Represents the child.
Yes.
Not her. Now, when are you supposed to see your daughter?
Saturdays and Sundays from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock.
And where are you supposed to see your daughter?
At my next door neighbor's house.
Do you go there every Saturday and Sunday?
This last weekend I was not able to because my daughter was not there.
Goodbye, sir. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out, sir. Out the back to
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Yeah, this is case number 97 on the calendar in the matter of Taylor versus Tucker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat? Huh?
Mr. Tucker, you have a driver's license, sir?
Yes, ma'am, Wendy. Yes, Your Honor.
Is it a valid driver's license, and is it current?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has it ever been suspended?
Yes, it has, Your Honor.
How many times?
About 2 times, Your Honor.
For what?
Speeding, Your Honor.
You borrowed Miss Taylor's car.
Yes, Your Honor.
When?
It was February. It was on a Sunday.
Date.
February 28th, Your Honor.
Where were you going with the car?
Just going to hang out with a couple of friends, Your Honor.
Is that what you told Miss Taylor?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you were just going to hang out with some friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
You didn't have a car of your own, I assume.
At the time, I do have a car of my own. At the time.
Then?
Then?
Did you have a car of your own?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Why didn't you take your own car?
Because Miss Taylor came and picked me up the night before, Your Honor. She came and picked me up. She knew I wasn't going to have my vehicle.
Why didn't you have your vehicle? Why did she have to come and pick you up, Mr. Tucker?
Because I wasn't driving where she came and picked me up from, and she came and picked me up.
Explain that to me.
I was actually riding with my brother-in-law and my cousin at the time, and she came and met me at the hotel, picked me up, and took me back to her house.
And you spent the night?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And the next day?
And the next day when I woke up, she had already left the house.
For what?
I guess to go do some shopping or something.
Is that what happened?
I don't recall that, Your Honor.
So she left and took her car?
And took her car, yes, Your Honor.
And then she came back?
And when she came back, I asked her if I could use her car to go hang out with a couple of friends. She said fine. She had already handled what she had to take care of, and I told her I'd be back.
What time did you take her car to go and hang out with some friends?
Probably about 12 that afternoon, Your Honor.
What kind of car did Miss Taylor have?
Acura.
What year?
An 08 or 09.
Is that right?
It's a 08, Your Honor.
So where did you go, Mr. Tucker?
Like I said, I went by, visited a couple of friends. From there, I parked the car, caught a ride.
Parked the car where?
I parked the car at a friend's house.
Address?
I don't know the address, Your Honor.
Street?
Street? The name of the street? Honeycutt. That's the name of the street that it was on, Your Honor.
And what's your friend's name? Don't look over there. Look at my eyes. Mr. Tucker, this is going to get worse for you, sir. It's going to get worse.
Yes,
Do you
ma'am.
understand?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been interrogated by the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
You will find that an almost exhilarating experience when I get finished with you. Friend's name?
I know his last name. I don't know his first name.
What do you call him?
By his nickname, Your Honor, Shiz.
And what's his last name? And who does he live with?
Right now, I don't know because he moved.
Oh, he moved from Honeycutt.
Yes.
So he doesn't live on Honeycutt anymore.
No, Your Honor.
But you parked her car, her Acura, on Honeycutt.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what did you do?
Your Honor.
Hey, Miss Taylor, let me have a good time.
Okay.
Can I have a good time?
Okay. Nobody lives on Honeycutt.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just a second. So you parked the car on Honeycutt and you went to visit your friend Scooch.
Shiz, Your Honor.
What?
Shiz.
Yes, that's what I said, Scooch. And
from there, I caught a ride. I rode around with some of my other friends. I parked the car, left the car there parked.
you left the car there.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Caught a ride with some friends, drove around. Go ahead.
Rode around. We went to a bar. From there to a club. And from there to a hotel party, Your Honor.
And
I was not driving. And at the time, a friend of mine was driving. I went back and got Miss Taylor's
what's your
vehicle.
friend's name?
Tiffany.
Tiffany was driving whose car?
Her car.
Tiffany's car.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of car does Tiffany have?
A Pacifica.
A Pacific?
A Pacifica? It's a van, Your Honor.
Okay, and where did you go with Tiffany?
Went to a sports bar, shot some pool. Went to a club, went and picked up some more friends.
What time was this now?
This is all day, probably
from 12 noon. So what time were you finished? You were in a bar, you were in a club, you were in a hotel, you were in a motel, you were with Tiffany in her van, then you went to another club, then you went, shot some pool. That's a very, very busy day. You know, it would take me at least 2 weeks to do all those activities. Keep going.
Yes, Your Honor. And then from there, we ended up at a hotel, a little party. Just friends.
That was 2 hotels you were at in one day.
No, Your Honor, just one hotel.
Oh, well, you told me you were in a hotel earlier in the day. I'm getting there, Bird.
Take your time.
Just actually amusing myself.
Yes, Your Honor, it's the same hotel, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. What happened to her car?
To the car. Then from there, went back, got the car.
Got whose car?
Miss Taylor's car.
So you mean I listened to all this nonsense for nothing? Because at some point, after you went clubbing and moteling and hoteling and pooling and scooching, you went back and you got the car.
Went back, got the car.
And?
Drove it to the hotel, Your Honor.
Drove it back to the hotel?
Yes, Your Honor.
And?
And from there, I must have consumed too much alcohol because I ended up passing out in the hotel. When I was awakened, my cell phone and the car keys was missing, Your Honor.
So Scooch must have, or one of his friends, must have taken your car and had a big accident in it, caused a lot of damage. And your defense is, I was drunk and I don't know what happened. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's your responsibility.
But, Your Honor, the insurance paid for the car. I immediately, when I found out the car was missing, I immediately called.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
It's your responsibility. You took her property with her permission and behaved in an irresponsible way with it. Why do I say that, sir? I just listened to a litany of events where you were driving, partying, drinking, fooling around, drinking some more, hanging around some more. And then, according to you, you got back in her car and took it someplace. You're responsible, whether or not you actually had the accident in the car, which is something actually I believe you did. So does she.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone no more, Your Honor. That's why I brought my eyewitness.
And later today.
You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melanie Taylor says ex-boyfriend Siobhan Tucker owes for car damage, rental car fees, and emotional distress. Siobhan is countersuing, claiming Melanie bleached his clothes.
You borrowed the property. You did not return the property. It's your responsibility. You can go get Scooch and go find the phantom who stole the car. Do you understand? Now, your car was severely damaged.
Yes, Your Honor.
Nobody was ever charged.
No, Your Honor.
Did your insurance pay for the damage?
Some of the damage, Your Honor.
Your insurance had a deductible?
Yes, Your Honor.
What was the deductible?
$250, Your Honor.
So that you paid for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
Yes, Your Honor.
What?
It didn't cover the bumper. It had additional damages to the bumper and the taillight, and my insurance company would not cover it, and I'm not sure why.
Well, I don't know either. Sue the
I know
insurance
why, Your Honor.
company. Why?
The insurance company, because they had already mailed her a check for those damages, and she didn't get it repaired, and she spent the money, Your Honor.
Well,
That's why.
that may be, but then take that up with your insurance company. He's certainly responsible for your deductible. Anything else?
I have receipts, Your Honor, showing that I paid for the bumper and the taillight.
I don't care. That's a problem that you have with your insurance company, not with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Has nothing to do with the accident.
Yes,
Now, you have a counterclaim, Mr. Tucker.
yes, I do, Your Honor.
Did you bleach his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Did you bleach or damage any of his clothes?
No, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I have an eyewitness, Your Honor. After she bleached and damaged my clothes, she sent a text message picture to my phone, which I showed a friend of mine.
Show me.
I don't have that phone no more, Your Honor, but that's why I brought my eyewitness, and she also admitted it to my eyewitness.
Well, your eyewitness can't tell me what she saw on your phone. That's hearsay.
I didn't know that, Your Honor.
That's why you come here. You get educated.
Okay.
When did she return the clothes to you?
I never received
Never got them back.
nothing. I left with the clothes I had on my back. I had to repurchase clothes.
Well, that's a good idea, because I'm sure that Miss Taylor didn't think you were going to go, put your hand down, fooling around in a hotel and a motel and with Tiffany and everything else when you said, I'd like to go hang out with some of my friends. You think she figured that that's what you were going to do all day and all night?
We've known each other for a while, Your Honor. She
I'm
knows
asking
pretty
you,
well.
do you think that that was in her mind, that you were going to be going fooling around with Tiffany in her car? I wouldn't think so.
No, Your Honor.
I don't think so. So did you buy yourself some new clothes?
Some. I replaced some. but-
Perfect. Good. You owe $250. That's all. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I believe that I should get way more than $250 for all I went through.
This is basically just an attempt
Just emotional stress.
to not really get the money back for the car because the insurance did pay for the car.
He abandoned me for a month and a half.
It's like revenge, like the same with the clothes, how she destroyed the clothes.
Then he came back on my job April the 23rd and explained to me what happened.
He actually busted the window out my house. It was all types of things.
He said that he was sorry and that he promised that he would pay back the money.
You know, that's another story, so we're here for the car.
He didn't pay it back. I haven't received a dime nor child support.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Welliver versus Nichols step forward.
Lynn Welliver is suing her former friend, Craig Nichols, for a truck loan, plus interest, and for making physical threats.
Mr. Nichols, let's start with you, sir. The plaintiff was a friend of yours. You had been friends for a while, according to what I read in your papers.
Yes, ma'am.
She was married and recently divorced. When the plaintiff divorced, she and her former husband had a landscaping business, or were trying to start a landscaping business. She decided she wanted to continue with that business. You were not employed gainfully at the time, or at least only marginally employed at the time, so you thought you might go into this business with her.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, is that a reasonable statement?
For the most part.
That's all I need for the most part. According to the plaintiff, she made a loan to you so that you could purchase a truck to be used in the business. And you purchased a truck that you put in your name. So far, is that correct?
Everything except that she did not loan me the money.
It is your claim that she made an investment in the business because the truck was to be used for the business. That's what
Which
you
is
say.
not entirely true.
That's what you say here.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. And then the business fell apart.
It did.
Who has the truck?
I do.
You have to sell it if I find that that's what happened. Because if she made an investment in the business and you did or did not put in any money in the truck.
I did put money in the truck,
You
but
did?
not
Just a second.
willfully.
Hey, listen, you're never going to get one step ahead. I know that you're thinking about what you're going to say now and how this is going to come out. All you have to think about is answering my questions truthfully. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Either she made a loan to you or it was an investment in the business.
Actually, it was
I'm
a
not
loan to him.
speaking. Hey,
Like 100%.
one more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lynn Welliver says former friend Craig Nichols owes for a truck loan and for making physical threats. Craig claims the truck was a gift.
How much money did you put into the truck?
Roughly $1,000.
Good. And how much money, according to you, did the plaintiff put into this truck as a business investment?
She paid $4,000 for the truck.
So you put in 1,000, she put in 4,000. So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you had the truck?
Roughly a year.
Now, what happens to a business, Mr. Nichols, when the business goes south? What do you think happens to the assets of the business?
Normally they would probably be liquidated.
Correct. That's very smart. That's what happens with the assets of a business. And once the assets of a business are liquidated, Mr. Nichols, what happens to the proceeds of that liquidated merchandise?
I would assume they would go to pay off the debts that the business had standing.
Or the investors. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have, according to you, a small interest in that truck. Because according to you, you put down $1,000 as your investment in the business. And she put down $4,000 as the investment in the business. Now, why would you think that you get to keep the truck?
Well, the truck was actually a gift that was given to me
That's not
for
what you
personal
said.
and business use.
That's not what you say in your answer. You see, you're trying to think ahead of the game, sir. You'll never be ahead of the game. You want me to read what you wrote in your answer? What you swore to?
That's
Would you like
not
me to do
necessary,
that?
ma'am. That's not necessary.
So, now, either she made a loan to you or it was an investment in the business.
Actually, it was a loan to him.
Hey,
Like 100%.
one more thing, one more time, and I say goodbye to you, and the case is over. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
One more time. Now I've warned you twice.
Okay.
It is either one of two things, Mr. Nichols. It was either a loan for the balance of the truck, or it was an investment in the business, which is what you swore to in your answer. Which one was it?
Well, initially, it was an investment in the business, but when the business didn't go anywhere, I assumed that I would pay her the rest of the money for the truck because she is my friend, and that would be the right thing to do.
I'm not interested in what you think is the right thing to do, sir. If initially it was an investment in the business, it has to be sold. Now you understand?
I understand what you're saying.
It has to be sold because that was an asset of the business, and she gets a piece of it, and you get a piece of it. Now do we understand each other? I believe you when you say that the truck was used for the business, and the business did not succeed, and therefore the assets of the business have to be liquidated and shared among the investors.
With all due respect, Your Honor, the truck is in my name, so I feel like I can do whatever I want with it.
Well, I'm going to cut an order to the Department of Motor Vehicles to put her name on the title. You understand me, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you can figure out what you're going to do with this truck, because then she's going to own a piece of it. As a matter of fact, I may direct that the Department of Motor Vehicles transfer title to her, and then she can sell it and she can give you back your piece. We understand each other now, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You get it?
Can I please speak?
No.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com or call 1-888-800-JUDY.
Now, you're getting the truck. I'm going to cut an order
it's
to the
actually
Department of
the
Motor
loan.
Vehicles. Listen to me. Was the truck used for the business?
No. 100%, it was never used for the business. Not once. Because the
I'm
business
cutting an
never
order
happened.
that you have title to the truck, take it, sell it, and take back your investment and give him his portion.
What needs to be done is I need my money back for the loan because the truck is now not worth what we paid for it.
What we paid, you're absolutely right. That's what happens when you liquidate assets.
But the truck was never ended up being used for business. It was only...
That's what it was purchased for.
It was only an idea in the
Listen to
beginning.
me, my dear. That's what the order is going to be. You're going to get exactly what you're entitled to, which is a return on your investment. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
You do understand. I know you understand. That's what's going to happen. Truck is going to be turned over to you. You can sell it unless he wants to sell it. And if he wants to sell it, the two of you can cooperate in selling it. Put it on Craigslist, advertise it in a newspaper, sell it. You take back your little piece that you invested. She's going to take back a much bigger piece because that's what she invested in your business. We understand each other?
I understand you.
Perfect. That's
I don't
all.
think you've heard the full facts of the case, though.
Well, if you listen, he has a choice.
Because the facts,
he has his choice. Listen to
upon
me.
the business.
Listen to me. It's his choice. If he wants to give you the money that you claim was a loan, which I don't think was a loan, I think it was a bit, he can do that. My order is going to be to motor vehicles to turn the title into your name so that you can sell it and recoup part of your investment in your landscaping business. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's case number 255 on the calendar, the matter of Pasker versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Pasker, the defendant is your former girlfriend.
Indeed.
And it is your claim primarily that she damaged your car. You also say she's responsible for the loss of your prescription eyeglasses. Miss Johnston says that you placed her in danger, which is why all those things happened. So I'm going to you, Miss Johnson, because I read his complaint. I read your answer. So I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Why don't you start by telling me the date of this incident?
It was April 15th this year.
I'm listening.
It started off by...
Keep your voice up and look at me.
We were arguing because he lied to me about an ex-girlfriend of his.
How did you find out about the lie?
He actually told me by accident.
What did he tell you?
He told me that he spoke with her.
He said, I spoke to my ex-girlfriend.
Well, he told me where she worked, and I asked, well, how did you know where she worked?
And he said?
He lied. He said, oh, someone told me. I heard it through someone else. I said, that's not true. I told him to stop lying because I knew he was lying. I could hear it in his voice.
And where were you when you had this conversation?
I was on break at work.
And where was he?
I think he was just at home. I'm not really
So you
sure.
were talking to him on the telephone?
Yeah.
So you were arguing?
Yeah, I just basically kept trying to get it out of him, like, you're lying, don't lie to me, I'm not stupid.
Okay, so that's a very lovely conversation you're having on the phone at break from work.
Yeah.
Next!
And after that, I got off the phone and went back to work. He said we'd talk about it later. We had plans to go shopping together, so we went to talk about it then. And after I got off work, he met me at my house, and we got in my car. We were arguing some more.
No, he wasn't arguing with you. You were arguing with him.
Well, we were arguing with each other. We were arguing back and forth.
You were saying, stop lying to me, and he says, I'm not lying.
Well, at this point, he was telling me why he talked to her. Like, at this point, he confessed to talking to her.
So then he confessed that he talked to her.
At this point.
Just a second. And what did he tell you was the reason that he was talking to her?
He felt that he just needed to get it off his chest. We had just found out I was about 5 months pregnant at the time, and this is an ex-girlfriend, serious relationship. He wanted to let her know about the baby.
So far, is that right?
Correct.
Go.
We were arguing in the car back and forth. He was telling me his side of the story. He started getting into details about his feelings for her and why he felt like he needed to let it go. And I didn't want to hear about his feelings at the time. I just wanted to know why he called her, and I didn't need the details about his feelings.
Go ahead.
He told me to let him out the car. I let him out the car.
So now you're fighting, and he said, stop the car. I want to get out of the car.
Yes.
Because I read these papers very carefully that the two of you submitted.
Okay.
You stopped the car and let him out. Now the argument is over. Let's go.
I didn't want it to end like that, so I turned my car around and I told him to get back in the car. Come on, let's figure it out. Let's talk about it.
He was tired of arguing with you.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to get back into the car.
No, he didn't.
And he did not get back into the car.
No, he didn't.
Right, because he had had enough arguing. He didn't want to fight with you anymore. He wanted it to be finished.
Yeah.
You weren't finished.
Well, we actually...
You weren't finished.
No, I wasn't finished at all.
Right. At that point, you weren't finished. Keep going.
I got to my house. He was walking. It was a long walk.
He was going to where?
He was going back to my house to get his car.
Because that's where he left his
car.
So he was going to his car. Go ahead.
I stayed outside my house. It was getting dark. I kept texting him and calling him to make sure he was okay and make sure it was he was walking for like an hour and a half, it seemed like. Once I saw him pull off, he had been drinking at the time, so...
Once you saw him...
Get his car and leave.
He got into his car, and he left your house.
Yes.
So now the argument is over.
Yeah, it's over.
And you're 5 months pregnant, and it's dark. So
Yes.
what do you do?
He had been drinking, and because although we were arguing...
When was he drinking?
He had got a couple drinks when he was out with his friends before he came to me.
So that was before he came to pick you up. And now he's had an hour and a half walk back, according to you, to the car. So whatever couple of drinks he had are finished, out of his system. So now he gets in the car and he drives away. Go ahead.
Well, I followed him, and...
You followed him, and what happened? You followed him to where?
I didn't know where he went. I called him because when I was following him, he almost crashed like 3 times. And
so you're following him, you're tailing him in your car.
Yes.
So you were waiting outside for him in your car. And he gets in his car, he's driving, you don't know where. Ultimately, he has to stop.
Yes.
Where did he stop?
I didn't know. I called him, and I told him that I didn't want to argue with him and that I just wanted him to give me his keys so he didn't get hurt. And he agreed, and we met downtown outside of
downtown where?
In Columbus.
He agreed to give you the keys to his car, so you drove to downtown Columbus?
No, he agreed to meet me.
No way.
He agreed to meet me.
He agreed to meet. That's better. He agreed to meet you. Where did he meet you?
He was at a bar in the parking lot.
He drove to a bar and went in.
Yeah.
Not with you.
No.
You were outside.
Correct.
You follow him downtown. He goes into a bar.
Well, I didn't follow him downtown.
Yes, you did. You told me you were following him. Now, at some point, you may have lost him, and he told you where he would be, but you were following him.
Yeah, I was.
Now we're going to stop with you, and now we're going to Mr. Pasker, because now the scene is set. How long had you been in the bar, sir, before you saw her?
I had been at the bar for a good 5 to 10 minutes.
Now, Mr. Pasker, you want to tell me what happened when you were in the bar?
When I was at the bar, I received text messages from her saying she was in the parking lot, she was by my car, and that she wanted to talk.
Go ahead.
She told me she wouldn't leave until I came out and talked to her. So I was like, okay, I'll go talk. Went outside to talk to her, and it was the same story. I tried telling her, talking to her. She wasn't having it.
Were your voices like your voice is with me now, or was she yelling, or were you yelling?
Well, at this point, the argument was a little heated, so there was yelling.
He was yelling. I was not yelling. I was crying.
Just a second. You should have stayed home.
I should have.
You're smart enough to be 5 months pregnant at age 21.
I should
Then you're
have.
smart enough to stay home. You were looking to either get him to come home or for a confrontation. That's why you followed him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She picks up a rock with 2 hands and throws it at my windshield while I'm in the car.
How does windshield get broken?
Actually, his story is all mixed up.
How did his windshield get broken?
I threw the rock because he was attacking me.
And later today,
he continued to be a thief, according to you. And you let him. And you let him. Yes, you did. All you have to do in 2008, when you find out that he's a thief, is change your PIN number.
Well, that happened.
That's very interesting.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Pasker III says ex-girlfriend Whitney Johnson owes for denting his car hood, smashing his windshield, and throwing away his glasses in a fit of anger.
Go ahead.
So, the argument kept going, and it started to turn really irrational. It got to the point where there was no point for me to even try to communicate. There was no communication. She wasn't accepting it.
I got it.
So I told her I was done. I walked away. I started to walk back to the bar. I have a keychain that has a car alarm that vibrates when my car is disturbed. It started going off, so I walked back out to my car. My car door was open, but she parked her car around the other side of the parking lot. So I closed my car door and I go back to the bar. So I'm at the bar for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and I just go back out to see if she's still there. I wasn't having a good time, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did go back out there. And when she saw me, she started laughing at me. I went up to her and I told her to leave. We got into an argument again. She punched me in my chest, and I pushed her. And that's when she pulled out her pepper spray. And I told her at least twice, don't pepper spray me. Do not pepper spray me. And she pepper sprayed me. So at this point, I turned around. My eyes were burning. I was wearing glasses so I could still see. And I know this wasn't the right thing to do, but at this point she had tried to destroy me verbally and even physically. I turned around and I swung at her.
Not the right thing to do.
Not the right thing to do at all.
When you swung at her, did you connect?
I really don't. I have no recollection of connecting with her.
He did.
Where?
In my back, twice.
Well, you swung. She says you swung at her on her back, so she must have been turned around.
Either that or turning. I don't know. Like I said, I have no recollection of connecting with those punches.
Okay, go ahead.
So my glasses fall to the ground. She picks up the glasses, she throws them across the parking lot. So I go and I snatch her keys and I snatch her phone. And
Where did you snatch her keys and phone from?
Her hand.
They were both in her hand?
Yes.
Where was the pepper spray?
You know, it may have been on the ground. I never thought about that.
It was in my hand. He took it from me.
Well, you were carrying your phone and your keys in your other hand?
Yeah, I was trying to leave.
Just don't tell me what you were trying to. Just answer my question.
Yeah,
you should have left. There wasn't a question of leaving. You shouldn't have been there.
I shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have been there. Right. Go ahead.
So at this point, I snatched her keys and her phone as collateral for my glasses, and I told her she wasn't going to...
As collateral for your glasses, which are now across the parking lot.
Yes. I told her she wasn't going to get them back until she went and gave me my glasses. So I pushed her, told her to get my glasses. She goes over to my glasses and throws them over the building. So at this point, I'm just, there's nothing else for me to do, so I walk away. She picks up a rock, she follows me, she throws it at me, she misses me.
That is not what happened.
Don't speak now.
It hits my car. It caused a dent in my hood. I get to my car, she picks up another rock and she follows me. I chase her around my car because she's coming towards my car with this rock. She runs to my passenger side window and tries to bust it with this rock, but it didn't break. I have Herculite windows. So she runs off. I get in my car. I'm blinded at this point. I put my key in my ignition. I'm trying to turn my car on. She picks up a rock with two hands and throws it at my windshield while I'm in the car.
And did that break the windshield?
It busted it. It didn't shatter, but it froze the glass.
What do you mean it froze the glass?
I have pictures here if you'd
I'd like to see it. Got it. You have an estimate for a new windshield?
Yes, I paid $304.
I'd like to see it. How does windshield get broken?
Actually, his story is all mixed up.
How did his windshield get broken?
I threw the rock because he was attacking me.
He wasn't attacking you if he was.
No, he was.
Listen to me. He wasn't attacking you if he was in the car.
He wasn't in the car.
So you threw the rock.
He was behind me.
Just a second. So you threw the rock at his windshield because he was attacking you.
And I was trying to get away.
And you threw the rock at his windshield because why?
To distract him.
To distract him. Good. Then you were responsible for his windshield. $304 because you wouldn't have been there were it not for the fact that you were hysterical, angry, jealous, hormone-filled, 5 months pregnant, and wanted him back.
I was there because to make sure he was okay, not to argue.
No way. No way. That's what you said in your answer, and I'm telling you that's a no way. Because when you followed him in your car from your house when he got into his car, after he had walked, according to you, an hour and a half to get to your house, he was not drunk.
He sure drove like it.
He was not drunk.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
How do you think he got your PIN number?
He got my PIN number from times when we were in the car together. He was in the driver's seat. I hand my card over. That's how. I didn't think he would remember it. I trusted him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Pasker III says ex-girlfriend Whitney Johnson owes for denting his car hood, smashing his windshield, and throwing away his glasses in a fit of anger.
You have a bill for your glasses?
I do. I also have the bill for the dent on my hood from the rock that she threw.
Yeah, let me see it.
I never threw a rock at his car. I picked up a rock, and he took it out of my hand and tossed it to the side. There was never two rocks thrown.
There were two rocks thrown.
No.
I believe there were.
Weren't.
Did you have your baby?
I did.
Boy or a girl?
Girl.
When was the last time the plaintiff saw her?
Maybe a few days before we came here.
Where did he see her?
At my house.
Pay child support, sir?
No, not yet.
Why not?
A paternity test is pending.
Did you take a paternity test?
We did. We weren't married at the time of conception, so I thought it was wise.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But you took the paternity test?
Yes.
And you did? Mm-hmm. And your daughter did?
Yes.
And you're waiting the results?
Yes.
Great. You owe him $1,078. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was in my face, and actually I took it out, and he said, "Oh, really, you're going to pepper spray me?"
You know, she's a sweet girl, and that's the first time I've seen her act that way.
And I told him, if you make me, I will.
I do feel that her and her hormones have...
He came to me crying about the middle of February, indicating that his life was in danger, that if he didn't have this money, he would be hurt. I trusted him. At that point, he said that he wanted to make this relationship work. I took him for his word. He swindled me.
Where did you get the money from?
It was a tax debt that I owe. I took a loan out on my house.
Interesting. It was a tax debt. What kind of tax debt?
I owe the IRS money from cashing stock in. I took a mortgage out on my house.
You have proof of that?
Yes. He knew I was getting a loan for this money. He came to me right about the time it was about to fund.
Let me see.
Your Honor, that's false. I didn't know anything about the loan until after the fact.
He had made an agreement with me, an oral agreement, that he would pay this back before the 15th.
Just a second. Okay, and what date did he come to you in February?
On the 20th.
And what did he tell you that the money was needed for?
I have no idea. He said that his life was in danger. I took him for his word. I just saw that he was scared.
And you gave him the money in cash?
Yes. He indicated that was the nature of it.
Your Honor, I do have a bank account. I'm able to cash checks.
Just a second. How much was the amount of your tax bill?
$70,000.
Okay. Go.
Your Honor, this first thing I'd like to present this letter, actually, that I have. It shows
a letter from what?
It's a letter, actually, from the plaintiff. It shows a little bit of what her word is. And
Your Honor, I have never mailed him any letters.
Just a minute.
It obviously has her, that's the original there, Your Honor, with her signature at the bottom.
I can't read and listen to you at the same time. Okay, just show this to her. That really has nothing to do with this case.
Absolutely nothing.
Well, that goes to show that her word really means nothing, to tell you the truth, Your Honor. This was not a loan.
Well, tell me what it was, sir. I read your answer. Tell me what it was.
I had done work for her in the middle of last year. My brother as well was working with me at the time. He was my employee. And we had spoken with her, him and I, at the same time, were present, to do anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 worth of work on her home.
That's a lie.
Skylights, countertop, a tile, replace a double door in the front entry.
Okay, so you had started to do some work on her house.
That's correct.
When did you start to do the work on her house?
I believe it was July 24th or 25th. We worked there for 3 days.
2000?
Yes.
And how many days did you work there?
We worked there for 3 days, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
On the third day, we had the job almost completely done, the portion that we were doing, and she said, I'll finish it myself. Had never given us any money for materials besides a $500 check. She had not paid us for our labor, which I had to pay my employee.
She gave you $500.
A check, that's correct. And that was in July of 2000.
I'm speaking. She gave you a check for $500, and according to you, you worked there 3 days.
That's correct.
Do you have a contract with her?
We had a verbal agreement.
Did you have a contract with her?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Because no contractor starts a job that says it's between $8,000 and $10,000. When you
she had a list.
I'm speaking. When you do a contract, you say this item is going to cost this and that item is going to cost that. You don't believe that the work that you did in 3 days was $4,000.
No, it was not. But subsequent to me accepting this job, I turned down numerous other jobs because I was going to be at this job for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
You have proof of that?
Not on hand, Your Honor.
Well, that's your defense. That's your defense to this action. So you should have proof. Now you're telling me she just came home one day and said, I don't want you to work on this project anymore.
That's correct. Actually, Your Honor, a few days before that, she had told me that she loved me and wanted to be with me. We went to her house that evening. My brother and I spoke with her on doing this work. She had a large list, pulling out bushes, skylights, numerous work around her house that she had just purchased. We told her, okay, we can start in a couple of days. We came by on the Monday of the first part of the week. When we showed up, we asked her to open the garage door so we could unload materials.
So you didn't have another job right then?
No. I told her I could be there on Monday.
Just a second. So you were free immediately?
No, I told her I could help her out. My statement was you were free immediately.
She spoke to you the week before. You were able to start that Monday. So you were free. You didn't have any other commitments.
At present, I did not at hand. She had asked me first. I had other jobs that I went to. That's the main reason why.
No. My question was, and your response is, you had no other commitments that prevented you from starting her job immediately.
No, I did not.
Okay.
My father had just passed away, so therefore I was still grieving from his death. I've been taking care of him for the first part of that year as well.
Mr. Johnson, pay attention to me. This is about money. This is not about
I
your
have a bill
father's
here as well
unfortunate
that I normally
demise.
write up for customers
Okay?
that I work
Now,
for.
don't you understand when my mouth is moving? There's only one voice that I hear.
To apologize, Your Honor.
Good. Now, if you felt that she owed you money in July of 2000, why didn't you sue her?
I had spoken to my attorney on putting a lien on her house, and work picked up at that time, so I just filed the bill away that I had written up for the initial work that we had started.
Then I'd like to see the bill that you say you filled out then in July of 2000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
For the work that you started.
I do believe there's a legal term for this called quantum merit, Your Honor.
You didn't do $4,000 worth of work in 3 days. I know what the legal terms are. Quantum merit means that you are paid for the work that you do.
That's correct.
This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days.
She gave me a check for $500, that is it.
Pay attention. This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days. That's not what your answer is. Your answer is that you gave up other jobs because you had a job that you thought was going to last several weeks. That's your
correct.
defense.
That's correct.
So what are you showing me this bill for $4,000?
That's the work that we started doing. Halfway through that, she decided to tell us, and I'll finish the job myself, because the first day we arrived on the job, she had a new boyfriend there.
Your Honor, the reason that I... Did you remove the countertop?
That's correct.
Did you install a new countertop?
That's correct.
One out of 3.
What do you mean 1 out of 3?
There are 3 countertops. He installed one, gouged the second one, and left the other one standing
That's
in my
false,
garage.
Your
Just a
Honor.
second. Is it there?
I paid somebody else to correct the job.
That's false, Your Honor. There was one section left not put in, Your Honor, and that was the sink side, and that was the day that she asked us to leave. She would finish the job herself.
I fired him because he verbally assaulted me.
What did he say?
He
That is false,
quoted
Your
me
Honor.
that the job would take 3 days, cost about $800. We're talking tile on the floor, kitchen countertops, and a kitchen sink.
The initial job that we had quoted was just the surface.
On the 3rd day,
Not to
my
the
stove
countertop.
was still not put in its place. The countertops were, my kitchen was not functionable. He kept verbally assaulting me, making rude
that's
comments
false
to
again,
me.
Your Honor.
Please
I don't want to hear
interrupt
any
me.
interruptions.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Please don't interrupt.
That's a lie. That's a
It is
pure
not
lie.
a lie.
Out. Him. Out. And the next time somebody speaks, I'm going to resolve this case. It's not going to be to their satisfaction.
She's a liar. That's a lie.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There is not to be any discussion between the two of you, and you are to respond to my questions. That's the way I run a courtroom. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janelle Murray says ex-boyfriend Rule Johnson owes for an unpaid loan.
Okay. You fired them.
Yes.
Did he leave a sink there?
No. I bought my own sink.
Okay.
That's false as well, Your Honor.
Show me the bill.
I don't have the receipts. I had given them to her at the time.
You're a contractor. Contractors have bills. Can I see it,
Checks.
please? Did you buy a sink set, faucet, and plumbing?
I did not. That was to install her old faucet and plumbing with
You
the
didn't
new
do that.
sink.
Just a second. You didn't do that.
No. That was when she called us.
Just answer my question. You didn't do that.
No.
And you didn't buy the sink.
Yes, I did, Your Honor. That's false.
And you have no proof that you bought a sink, right?
I've got my witness, which you asked to leave the courtroom.
Yeah, because he has a big mouth. He doesn't know where he is, and he's not coming back.
Well, when the plaintiff lies, I mean, it's only fair to stand up and say when someone is a liar.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's how I resolve a case when you have a big mouth. Thank you.
Have a nice day, Your Honor. She couldn't accept the fact that she couldn't have me.
He's obviously very full of himself.
She's been obsessive after my brother. She's stalked him.
Ladies, fair warning.
She's a crazy.
All parties in the matter of Gilbraith versus Brown. Step forward.
30-year-old electrician Steve Gilbraith is suing his ex-wife, 30-year-old food care supervisor Kristen Brown, for an insurance settlement she received when their marital home burned down.
Mr. Gilbraith, you and the defendant had been married.
Yes, ma'am.
You are now divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
Your claim has to do with some property that was in the marital home. The marital home was destroyed by fire. The defendant was reimbursed for losses in that fire by insurance, And you want to be paid for the stuff that was in the house that belonged to you.
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. So now I need some dates from you, sir. When were you and the defendant married?
We were married October 7th, 1989, divorced October...
Sure, just a second. I'll ask the questions. When did you separate?
Late 97, 98.
Do you remember the month?
I believe it was in January.
Of 1998. And when you separated, you were living in the home that burned down?
At the time, yes, and then I was asked to move out.
No, just a second. Just answer the question. Don't volunteer. Never volunteer. At the time that you separated, you were living in the house that burned down.
Yes.
The divorce became final when?
On October 29th, 99.
Almost 2 years after you had separated.
Yes.
And 1 month later, the house burned down.
That is correct.
After the final divorce.
That is correct.
Now, what property do you claim, sir, was left in the house when you moved out in January of 1998?
They were personal belongings of mine that the defendant had agreed that I could keep there.
You volunteering information again. I said, what property did you leave in the house?
This is a list of everything, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Galbraith, between January of 1998 and the time of the divorce in October of 1999, had you gone back to the house at all for any of your property?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What property did you go back for?
Mainly at the time, it was my personal clothing and stuff like that. Things that I had left there were items that I was actually working on remodeling my son's room in the house, my tools and stuff like that. The majority of what I took out was my personal clothing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see a large document in there. Is that your judgment of divorce?
I have my the degree of dissolution here also.
I'd like to take a look at it. This says that at the time of your divorce, you and your wife had allocated all property that belonged to each of you.
That's correct.
And your judgment of divorce says that at the time of this agreement, you have decided whose property belongs to whom, and whoever has physical possession of that property now is the owner of that property. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
The husband and wife agree that each party shall retain as his or her own, free and clear of any claims of the other party, all items of household goods and furnishings presently in his or her possession. That's what it says. So, at the time that the house burned down, sir, all the property in her possession was hers.
The power tools that were in the house I was using to, like I say, to remodel my son's house. Those are tools I use every day on my job. The items that was in there were items that we, her and myself, had agreed verbally that she would allow me to keep there.
Then you put it in this agreement. Did you have an attorney?
At the time, no.
Should have. You signed this.
As I said before, we had a dissolution, and it was an agreement between us in the best interest of our children to keep everything. We've been friends for over 20 years. We tried to keep it in the most friendly possible way we could.
That's fine. What I'm saying to you, Mr. Gilbraith, is that you keep it as friendly as possible. But when you outline in an agreement all other property, you talk about the house, you talk about the car, your truck, it names the truck, it names the year of the truck, the make of the truck, the model of the truck that you're going to keep. It talks about the car that she's going to keep, that she's going to keep up the insurance. You have to do certain deed transactions. It talks about all of those things. And then it talks about personal property. And if you had any personal property in that home, you'd just as easily say, listen, we have to put in another paragraph and list all this property that I have in the home that belongs to me. That's very easy. Didn't anybody tell you that, sir? Am I the first person who's told you that?
No, ma'am. I just, as I said, I assume being friends that we were, that I could take her on her word.
Did you give him your word that this was all of his property?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
This list, which was made April of 2001, well after the fire.
That's how long it took me to get all the records and inventory from the insurance company.
It may be, sir. But you had no insurable interest in the property as of the date of your divorce. Because as of the date of this divorce, you were not the owner of any property that was in her possession. It's a simple legal matter, unless she acknowledges that she was merely holding this property for you. You acknowledge that?
No, ma'am.
However, she knows the tools that were in my son's room and all my stuff that was there in that room was being done for her in regards to the remodel of that home, which I had promised I would finish. Unfortunately, a fire happened in the home before that.
That may be. But you're not suing under that theory that you were a workman doing renovation in the house, your tools were there when it burned down, and therefore those tools should be covered by her insurance.
It also says in my agreement any inheritant material that was in the house was also mine.
You're talking about under miscellaneous?
Yes, I had things that were given to me by my deceased mother and etc.
As to Gilbreth. Don't pull my leg. Okay. The section that you're reading says the parties agree that each shall retain as his or own, free and clear of any claims of the other, all items of clothing and personal effects presently in his or her possession. The parties further acknowledge and agree that neither party shall have any enforcement rights to the other's inheritance or expectancies, and all future inheritances and expectancies shall remain the property of the inheritor, which means that if somebody dies in your family and leaves you money or property, she cannot claim any of that property. That has nothing to do with your power tools.
No, it has to do with quilts that were made by my mother and my grandmother.
You should have gotten them out before 2 years. Those were not power tools. You don't redo your son's room with quilts.
No, but that's things that she had stored.
Mr. Galbraith, this is a very simple case. You were divorced. At the time of your divorce, the judgment's divorce said all property that you each have in your individual possession belongs to each of you individually, free and clear of any claims by the other. You had the opportunity at the time of the divorce to include this list as property that was in the house that you intended to get back, that it was an agreement with the defendant that you would get back. Very simple. I said including in the judgment of divorce. You did not do that. If you did not do that, you had no interest in any property in her home. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad it's finally over.
I don't agree with it. She knows what she told me.
I think the decision was the proper decision.
I have to deal with what the judge says.
Hopefully this will end all the different full threats and court battles.
House, you want him to pay for the changed locks. And on the same date, he was angry and vandalized your car, and you want him to pay for that. Mr. Fabrini does not deny that he was in the house. He said he was supposed to be babysitting for the children that day, and he does, however, deny that he did anything to your car. So I have some questions. How long have you been separated?
Since 2003, Your Honor. I've changed my...
Just a second.
Sorry.
Are you legally separated?
Yes, we are. I have separation papers here.
Okay, so you have a legal writing, but there's never been a judicial determination of separation. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah.
How long were you married?
Well, we've been together 16 years.
And how many children do you have, Mr. Fortier?
3.
How old are they? 13,
12, and 7.
Been separated a long time. Is there any reason why you're not divorced?
I don't want a divorce. I mean, we pretty well set our life, and instead of trying to make it harder, I'm trying to make it get back together for the sake of the kids, not just for selfish reasons.
Did you stay in the marital home, Ms. Fabrini?
No. I signed over the 2 houses we owned at the time of marriage. I let him have them. I never asked him for child support. I'm the one who ended the marriage. I bought my own house in 2003.
Okay, so the house that you say he was trespassing in
was my house.
Was your house,
Yes,
not the
ma'am.
marital home?
No.
And when was this, Ms. Fabrini?
On June 1st.
Okay, tell me what happened.
I came home from work, and Mr. Fortier was sitting at my kitchen table, and I asked him how he got in the house. He obviously stole keys from me. I've never given him a set of keys to my house. Of course, he denies it. I don't know if you're still denying it, but...
Well, just a second. So on June 1st, you found him sitting at the... And what did he say to you when you confronted him?
He denied the fact that he had my keys, and I asked him what he was doing in my house, and he was waiting for the children to come home. And I told him, you're not allowed in my house unless I invite you in. So he refused to give. We had an argument. I kicked him out. So he was kind of like angry with me.
And what happened?
He left, and I just forgot about it, did my own thing with the kids. And that night I went to bed, and the kids told me...
Don't tell me what the kids told you, because that's hearsay.
Well, the next morning when I woke up, the windshield in my car was smashed. So I figured he did it.
You have any proof that he did it?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I'd like to hear the proof.
I have a witness.
Witness's name?
Sabrina Weeks.
Sabrina Weeks. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth in these matters?
Yes.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Sabrina, how old are you?
12.
And how do you know Miss Fabrini?
Her daughter.
My daughter. She's her best friend.
Okay, is that how you know each other?
Yeah.
She sleeps over at my house all the time.
Okay, were you sleeping at Miss Fabrini's home on June the 1st?
Yes.
Did you witness anything with regard to her car?
Yes.
Tell me what you saw.
Okay, I was sleeping over, and we were sleeping, and me and her heard a loud crash, and we went to look at the window, and we saw Dave with a crowbar over by the car.
And you sure it was Mr. Fortier?
Yes.
Mr. Fortier, how did you get into the house on June the 1st?
Well, I had keys.
You had keys. Where did you get the keys from, sir?
Well, I had them from, she gave it to me to come and babysit.
Sorry, Your
No,
Honor.
stop. Miss Fabrini, don't say anything. Now, Mr. Fortier, do you pay child support for your children?
Well, no, but
The answer is no.
no.
Why not?
Well, I still pay for stuff around their house.
What do you pay for regularly?
And the car, her car insurance.
Your Honor, I...
Do you not pay child support, sir, because your wife never asks you for child support?
No, well, she should have asked if she wanted, so just ask.
Mr. Fortier, put your hand down, please. Do you have a lawyer in this matrimonial proceeding?
Right now, no.
Mr. Fortier, do you know my background, what kind of work I used to do before I did this work?
No.
I was a judge in the family court, and I was in the family court for 25 years. And you don't have a lawyer, so I feel comfortable about giving you this advice. It's both personal advice and professional advice, sir. And I don't know whether anybody's ever said it to you. You look like a very nice man, but you look like a sad man because you don't have your family with you. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, okay.
My sense from you, sir, is you don't have your family with you. And there is good reason that you and your wife are not together. She wanted out of this marriage so badly that she gave up certain rights that every one of the states of our union mandate, which is that a non-custodial parent pays child support. There isn't a judge in this country that would permit, without serious inspection, an order that said that a non-custodial parent wasn't paying child support. You haven't paid child support for 3 years. So my sense is that your wife wanted out of this marriage that badly that she said, you take the houses, you take the property, you take everything, just give me my freedom.
Yeah, that's her saying. She makes
Okay.
it sound like it's been hell, but
Just a second. I understand what you're saying, but what you're saying is that you don't want a divorce because you want your family back together. Mr. Fortier, you're 40 years old. It's young. Believe me, from where I'm sitting, 40 is young. I would take it tomorrow, Mr. Fortier. I'm giving you advice that some people would pay a lot of money for. You've got to put a period and move on. Not with your children. Your children will always be your children, and they will only have one father. There's no question about that. They're old enough to know that you're their father. Nobody's going to substitute for a father. You're their father. But this lady doesn't want to live with you anymore. So you have to put a period and say, this portion of my life, no matter how painful it is for me, is over. I have to move on. And the first thing you have to do is you have to consent to a divorce, Mr. Fortier.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Next time, don't do it. I mean,
Listen to me. I know that you're angry.
just tell him to leave me alone.
Listen to me.
What's he going to break?
Stop it.
And later today,
What kind of concert was it?
It was a reggae festival.
Where do you stay?
I ended up having to sleep on the...
Judge Judy. Mary Fabrini claims her estranged husband, David Fortier, stole the keys to her home and smashed the windshield of her car.
Now, put a period and say, it's over. And the longer you prolong that, the more damage you're going to do to your children. You and your wife brought these children into the world because you wanted to create a loving home for them and want to see them grow up to be wonderful people. You didn't bring them into this world to hurt them. But with the kind of stress you're putting on their mother, that's hurting your children. So you have to stop being selfish, Mr. Portier, because what you're really doing is being selfish. Not to her, forget her, but she's the custodial parent for your children. She takes care of them. And what you're doing is creating a stressful environment for them. And you have to stop. Really, you have to stop. Because not only is it bad for them, it's also not right for you. You're 40 years old. You have to give yourself a chance to go out and have another life. You're young. You're young. You're never going to be without your kids. But you want to give them the best possible shot of growing up stress-free. And right now you're creating stress for your children. Because there isn't a question in my mind. I don't have to ask you. Isn't a question in your mind that you damaged her car? This little girl wouldn't come here and lie. No question. You were so angry that your wife said to you, "This is my house. I bought this house. You can't be here." That you didn't have control, that you tried to regain control and you damaged her car. You're hurting yourself, but you're also hurting your children because your 12-year-old daughter, Shauna, saw you do that to her mother's car. She saw you be so angry. That's not healthy, Mr. Fortier. You have to stop. And if you need help stopping, spend some of the money that you're not giving to your wife and child support to go get some help. I gave you my best advice. It's advice that has 40 years backing it up. Put a period. Move on. Let it go. Okay. Change the locks were $124. To fix the windshield was $534.
And 3 days off work.
Why did you take 3 days off from work?
I couldn't drive to work, 3 days, because I had to pay for it, repair it, and then get to work. It's my work vehicle.
Do you get paid by the week?
Yes, I do.
So you got paid for the week?
Oh, I didn't get paid that week. I have 3 days that weren't missing.
But did you get paid for the week?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
How much do you make a day?
$80 a day. And I have a paycheck stub here, too.
I'd like to see it.
And that's without my bonuses, so I'm letting him off a little easy. Next time, don't do it. I mean,
listen to me, Miss Fabrini. Miss Fabrini.
Yes?
I want you to listen to me. I know that you're angry.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't know whether whatever I said to him had any impact.
I hope so.
Shh. A little bit, maybe?
I hope not.
Shh. I'm asking him.
Yeah, of course.
A little bit?
Just tell him to leave me alone.
Listen to me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You gotta stop it.
Okay.
Let it settle in with him.
What's he gonna break?
Stop it. I get that you're angry. And I get that there was reason why you gave up all those things. I don't want to go into it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You got to move on. Because you're hurting your children and you're hurting yourself. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $898. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may.
Said, sure, you could stay with me for a while until you get relocated. He did. And you claimed that he agreed to pay you rent, $350 a month. In addition, you claimed that he agreed to sell you a used car that he had. You paid him for the car, and one day you came home and you find the car that you had paid for is gone, along with Mr. Strickland and his month's rent. Mr. Strickland says, A, you must be crazy, because he never sold you his car, and B, he never said that he was going to pay you rent. He didn't even have a room. He stayed on the sofa. Mr. Strickland, when did you move into Miss Baca's apartment?
It might have been July, middle of July.
July 14th.
And how did that come about, sir?
I called her and asked her if I could come stay there, and she agreed.
Did she ask you why?
Yes.
What'd you tell her?
That I was having problems where I was staying at that time.
That was with another girl?
Yes.
When you came over, did you come over with any property?
Yes.
What did you come over with?
Everything I owned.
Where did you put it?
In the garage, mostly.
And you have how many automobiles?
At the moment?
Then, in July of 2006.
One.
What kind of car was it?
97 Ford Thunderbird.
What do you have now?
Nothing at the moment.
What happened to the Thunderbird?
Davidson motorcycle.
When?
Last Sunday.
And what happened to the motorcycle?
It is being put together.
Between July and last Sunday, was the 1997 Ford the only vehicle that you had?
Yes.
Do you work, sir? Why do you have to question that? Do you work, Bird?
Yeah, I work.
Well, you know,
Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work? Look how fast.
Well, you know why? Because I thought about the question you asked me right before that, if that was the only vehicle I had, because I also acquired another motorcycle before that.
When?
Beginning of August sometime.
Were you driving around that other motorcycle?
No.
Where was it?
In the garage.
Whose garage?
It is in Rebecca's garage.
When you left in August, did you take that motorcycle with you?
No, it was already in the shop being worked on.
Worked on for?
To get it running. It didn't run when I bought it.
Between the second or third week in August, after you had been with Miss Baca for 3 or 4 weeks, was the motorcycle in the shop?
It was in the shop, yes.
And you were planning on using it?
Eventually.
Oh, is not an answer.
Eventually, I don't have a motorcycle license, so eventually, yes, I planned on using it.
Now we'll get to my next question. Are you working?
Yes.
That was great.
Where do you work?
I work for Cooper Tires.
How close is that to where you're living now with your girlfriend?
25 miles.
How do you get there?
I drive. I drive.
What do you drive?
Right now I'm borrowing a car from my brother.
What kind of car are you borrowing from your brother?
A Chevy something. I don't even know what it is. Yeah. It's a red car.
And you're borrowing that car until?
Until I can get a motorcycle license.
All right, Miss Baca. Now I have identified this personality. Now I'm going to try to identify your personality.
Okay.
You let him move in on July 14th. First mistake.
Yes.
The prior involvement that you had with him did not end well.
No.
It ended with a protective order.
Yes.
So despite the fact that it didn't end well, you allowed him to move in. And he slept on the... Don't look there.
Slept
Look
in my
here.
bed.
What?
He slept in my bed. All of his stuff was in my room, except for some stuff that was in the garage.
Why did you let him move back in with you?
I loved him. He said he quit drinking. He changed. We weren't like in a committed relationship, and it was supposed to be just friends that he was moving in, and he would sleep on the couch. But then with him being there for a night or two, he ended up sleeping in my bed. Not smart, I know.
Tell me about the car.
He found out that I had money in stocks.
How did he find out that you had money?
Because I was telling him that I was going to be buying Sea-Doos at the end of the summer.
CDs?
Sea-Doos.
Sea-Doos?
Yeah, for water.
Well, CDs would have been smart. Sea-Doos are stupid.
Well, that's what he said. They're stupid. You should buy my motorcycle for me. And I was like, no. So he ended up saying that he would sell me his car for the money, which was $2,000, and he would buy the motorcycle that he was talking about previously that he got in August. He got that with my money. And I ended up selling him the car after he begged continuously.
You ended up buying the car, not selling him the car.
Oh, yeah, buying the car. And I didn't want to. I already have a car. I didn't have a purpose for it. But then after looking to see how much the car was actually worth and how much he was willing to sell it to me for, I thought it was a good deal. So I ended up giving him the money for it. And then my witness, Dawn.
Show me that you gave him the money.
The only stuff I have right here is from my UBS Financial, which is the stock company that I withdrew the money.
When did you withdraw the money?
The money was withdrawn and deposited into my bank account on the 27th.
Of what?
Of July. And then I have a bank statement saying that it was deposited and it was taken out the next day.
Taken?
Taken out the next day.
How was it?
In cash.
How much was taken out?
$1,650.
That's a peculiar figure.
Well, because the agreement with the rent was that he would pay $350 a month after staying there for 2 weeks, and then with no problems, he would start paying $350 a month. So at that point, when I gave him the money, it had been about 2 weeks. So the $350 was with the $1,650 to make a total of $2,000.
$1,000. I gotcha. When you lived together previously, were you splitting expenses?
He was paying, I think it was like $200 a month.
When you were living together previously?
Yes.
Was that in the same apartment?
Yes.
Now, what is this witness going to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you first?
My name is Don Fry.
Fry?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was actually the one going to be purchasing the car off of her because he was buying the motorcycle for $2,000. So she's like, all right, I'll buy it, and then I'll buy it from her. And so that was the agreement.
Why didn't you buy it directly from him?
Because I didn't have the $2,000 to bring up. I was going to do monthly payments.
To her?
To her.
For how much?
$3,200. So it's $160 a month.
Okay.
I mean, this guy's a convicted felon for stealing from his own job. He got fired for stealing money. Why wouldn't he come on here and lie to steal money from me?
I think that's not relevant in the case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Where did you think you were coming today, Mr. Strickland? To a tea dance?
I just didn't think that I needed very much evidence.
Mr. Strickland, are you serious?
Judy. Rebecca Baca claims ex-boyfriend Micah Strickland owes for rent and for stealing her car. Micah says he never agreed to pay rent and the car belongs to him.
Mr. Strickland, you remember the date that you left?
I don't remember the exact date.
Do you remember when he left?
August 19th.
You were there for 1 month. You moved in on the 14th, you left on the 19th. Did you pay any rent?
No.
Why not?
There was no agreement to pay rent.
You had paid rent previously.
No, I had not.
Previously, when you lived together.
I had not paid rent then either.
Well, what are you, a sponge? What are you, a sponge?
No.
Well, you are if you don't pay rent where you live. Everybody pays rent. They pay a mortgage, they pay rent, they pay maintenance, they pay something. You mean except you?
Apparently.
You purchased the other motorcycle on what date in August?
I don't know the exact date.
Do you remember the exact date?
He paid for it on the 28th when I gave him the money.
Do you remember who he purchased it from?
It was a guy named Rick at his work. I went to the bank. I got the money out. I went to his work on his lunch. He got the money out from his bank account, went back. He gave it to the guy Rick. And then the next day, on Saturday, I borrowed my ex-husband's truck and we picked the motorcycle up from Rick's house.
I paid $50 for that motorcycle.
I'm sure.
Just a second. You have a receipt?
No, I don't, but it's written on the pink slip that I haven't got around to going down to the DMV with yet.
Well, where is it?
It's at home.
Well, where did you think you were coming today, Mr. Strickland, to a tea dance?
I just didn't think that I needed very much evidence.
Serious with me? That you didn't think you needed any evidence in court?
Well, I just thought it was a pretty cut and dry case, being that it's my car. If I'd actually done something wrong, like I'd be in trouble for stealing. So like, I thought this was a pretty odd case. I'm surprised I'm in court over it.
Well, but Mr. Strickland, you are in court over it, so
Yes.
if you are in court over it, it would seem to me that an intelligent person would bring any evidence that they had to support their position.
Okay.
Not just stand there and say, look at me. What do you think Ms. Baca did with the money that she took out of her bank on the 27th of July?
I don't keep track of her finances. I have no idea what she might have done with it.
And would it be a fair statement that she did accompany you to Rick's house to pick up the motorcycle?
Yes, she did come with me to pick up the motorcycle.
Can I see your bank statement, please?
Yes, I also have an insurance statement saying that I added on the car that I never bought to my insurance policy.
I'd like to see it, please.
She put that on the insurance because she wanted to drive the car and she didn't feel comfortable driving it without insurance.
Why would she want to drive that car when she had her own car?
She drove it a few times.
Oh, you're full of baloney, Mr. Strickland. You're full of baloney. Okay, Ms. Baca, this is the only problem that you have. What you are suing him for is the Blue Book value of the car, or what you had agreed to sell the car to Mr. Fry. That you cannot recoup from Mr. Strickland.
Okay.
But I believe you, and that's my job to make a judgment as far as who I believe and who I don't. I believe you. I believe your story. It makes sense. It is supported by the documents that I have here, especially the insurance, which indicates that the car was added to your insurance policy, and anybody would be absolutely crazy to add a car to their insurance policy and to pay insurance for a car when they already have a car that they want to drive once or twice. I mean, that would be ridiculous. So I believe you, but you are not entitled to the book value of the car. You are entitled to what you paid for it. And I believe that Mr. Strickland did agree to pay you $350 in rent. You took out the $2,000 from your bank, and the reason you took off the $350 was that you were reducing the amount by the amount of rent that he owed you. So I'm entering a judgment on your behalf in the amount of $2,000. That's it. Thank you.
Cards are excused. You may step out.
He didn't even acknowledge the fact that he did accept the money.
She's just trying to drag me back into court again.
He threatened to kill me the first time that he moved out.
All parties in the matter of Oric versus Galvin. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Justin Oric is suing his former friend, 19-year-old Drew Galvin, for knocking over his Ninja motorcycle. Drew says the bike was parked in the wrong spot.
Mr. Oric, you were at a party, and the defendant was also at a party, and it is your claim that he damaged your motorcycle, which you had driven to the party. Mr. Galvin says that the motorcycle was in fact damaged, but it was your fault because you parked it in the wrong place. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me what happened, Mr. Oric.
I got off work about 9 o'clock. I called my friends, and they all said they were over at some girl's house, so I got directions over there. And I pulled up over there.
On your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of motorcycle is it?
It's a 1997 ZX7R Ninja 750.
Sounds very impressive. How much did you pay for it, sir?
About $3,500.
When did you purchase it?
In August of '05.
Okay.
I parked it, and he was sitting on the back of his car, and he was pretty intoxicated, and he let me know that. And
How did he let you know that?
Well, I shook his hand. He's like, "How's it going?" He's like, I could smell it. And he's like, "I'm pretty drunk," And I was just like, all right, whatever, that's fine. And I walked into the house because that's where pretty much everyone was. And I was sitting in there talking, and everybody heard this crash. I got up and door. I noticed my motorcycle laying on the ground. He was over there trying to pick it up. Helmet was rolling around in a big puddle of water, and trying to figure out what was going on. He said he was sitting on it, and it fell over on one side. And that he went to pick it up, and it fell over the kickstand onto the other side. And that's the crash that we heard. And I just told him I wanted the money and everything. He was intoxicated, so he got all mad and started trying to fight. He's like, "I'll fight you over it right now."
What were you going to fight him over, sir?
I never said that, but that's beside the point.
Why were you so drunk?
Actually,
How old are you?
I'm 19 years old. That's what's so silly about
You're
this whole
19,
thing.
just a second.
Okay.
Who do you think is going to be in control of this courtroom, Mr. Galvin, you or me?
You.
Right, so first stand up and take your hands off the table. Very good. You're 19, you can stand on your own 2 feet. That would be perfect. So why would a 19-year-old boy get so drunk? Is there nothing else to do in Arkansas?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing there. There's cows and, people with nothing to do.
So they drink?
The majority of them, yes.
You drink?
On occasions, yes.
Well, but you were drinking on May 6th.
Yeah, I had a little.
Did you go to school? Do you work? What do you do to
Yes,
occupy
ma'am.
yourself?
I
What-
work.
You work for whom?
Razorback Car Wash in Bryant for right now, but
I didn't understand a word you said.
Razorback Car Wash in Bryant.
Razorback Car Wash. Okay, for right now.
Yes, ma'am.
How long?
Actually, whenever I get back, I'm going to be in the heat and air business. I've already got a job.
Great. And you're going to stay in Benton?
Me and my fiance are trying to figure that out now.
You're 19 and you have a fiance.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any children, do you?
No, ma'am.
None expected.
No, ma'am. We were pregnant, but had a miscarriage.
19 is too young to have any children, sir. You have to find something else to do other than drink and make babies.
Yes, ma'am.
Go to the library. Do they have a library in Benton?
Yes, ma'am. There actually is. Been there quite a few times.
Have you? How
Yes,
many
ma'am.
times?
I'd say whenever I was in school, about almost every other weekend.
You mean when you stopped going to school, you stopped going to the library?
No, ma'am. I started working a lot.
Well, but you still have time. You had time to get drunk, sir. I would suggest you spend your time in the library. You had time to make a baby, right? You have time to go to the library. There are other things that you can do
Yes, ma'am.
other than drinking and procreating at age 19. You can expand your mind, expand your horizons,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Galvin. Now, you don't really want to tell me that it was the bike's fault that it fell down because it was parked in the wrong place, do you?
Well,
You
sort
really
of.
want to tell me that, Mr. Galvin? You look like such a nice young man.
I have
Misguided, perhaps, but a nice young man.
I have pictures of the spot where my car was and his bike right behind it. Like it is a one-person parking spot. But I was on my way around the car whenever I tripped over it.
Mr. Orick says that when he got to the party, you were sitting outside on your car.
No, actually, I was inside talking to Danielle.
No, you weren't, sir, because you were too drunk to know what in the world you were doing.
Well, I mean, if I was that drunk, how come the cops didn't write me? And in the police report, anywhere it
Why
doesn't
would
say.
they do that? You weren't driving.
I told him not to.
Shh. You weren't driving. He didn't want to get you into any trouble. That's not my question. You know how much you were drinking. Well, at least at the beginning you knew how much you were drinking. Did you end up staying at the house?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I did. My belt was stolen.
Just a second. You ended up staying at the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you sleep?
In the bed with the girl that I was seeing at the time.
This was in May?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it the same girl that you're affianced to now?
No, ma'am. It's not.
So between May of 2006 and now, we have had a new fiancé and an almost baby. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, you paid $3,500 for the bike, according to you, maybe, more than a year ago.
Yes, ma'am.
You want $4,200 to fix it. That's not going to happen. Do you understand?
Can I explain why?
Yeah,
sold
sure.
it? The guy sold it to me for that because he was scared of it. He said he was going to get put in jail or killed on it. It had always worth of work in it. It's got a crate motor. It's been lowered. Custom paint, custom exhaust. It's pretty much a show bike. So it's worth more than $3,500. Is what I'm trying to say.
Can I see the estimate to fix it, please?
Yes, ma'am. There's 2 parts estimates and 2 paint estimates in there. There's the damage.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Rorick?
I work for AutoZone, but I'm a full-time college student as well.
Where'd you get the money to buy this?
I worked hard for it. I had a dirt bike that I sold for it, and it's hard work.
Oh, it's a beauty.
Thanks.
I mean, I wouldn't get on one of these things. I like to have a whole bunch of steel around me.
Yeah.
There are a lot of crazies on the road.
Yeah, there is.
You know, so I like to be in a Sherman tank when I'm on the road. But I know that a lot of people like these things, including my husband, who lusts after one.
Really?
He'll continue to lust after one. All right. Mr. Galvin, where are you going to be next weekend?
At my house?
No. Where are you going to be next weekend?
The
library.
The library, yes, ma'am.
Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Like I said, I tripped over it.
I'm pretty sure it's just an accident.
We're still friends as far as I know.
No.
You purchased cell phones, and he was supposed to pay his bill. He didn't pay his bill. You also want him to pay for his cell phone.
Yes.
The defendant says that the money that you did, in fact, give him to have his car fixed was just that, a gift, that he provided all the support for you and his child while you were living in an apartment together, that the phone was something that he purchased, and he paid for that, and he paid for the 1 month's worth of service that he actually used the phone, and then you shut the phone off. He has a counterclaim because he says that in April, at the time that the two of you separated, you had him falsely arrested for domestic violence, and he believes he should be compensated for the 27-hour police precinct. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. On what date, Mr. Mealy, were you arrested for domestic violence?
April 3rd, 2006.
And at that time, how long had you and Miss Arnold been living together?
We'd been living together for a little over a year.
Now, Miss Arnold, in the year that you were living together, you were living in an apartment. Is that right?
Correct. We lived in the apartment just from December to April.
And when was your child born?
January 24th, 2006.
Keep your voice up, please.
Okay.
So from the time you moved into the apartment, I assume, until the time that you separated in April, you were not working.
I had one job for about 2 weeks.
So you were not working?
No.
And Mr. Mealy was supporting the household?
Yes.
He was paying the rent?
Yes.
He was paying for food?
Yes.
He was paying the gas, electric, and utilities?
Yes.
Paid for the expenses of the baby at home?
Mostly.
Well, you didn't. So if...
No, but state helped.
How much did the state help?
I believe I got, well, right, as soon as I moved out, I got $440, and he has paid $1 towards child support in the last 3 months.
I'm not asking you that.
Okay.
I'm asking you from December until April.
Pretty much all of it.
So he paid for everything?
Yes.
And you put the car repairs on your credit card?
Part of them, yes.
$600 worth?
I put $210 down on my credit card, and I'm making payments for the rest.
How much in total?
I believe the total was $558.
$558. So for the 4 months that you lived together, your capital contribution was $558.
Yes.
That seem reasonable to you?
No, but I did have the baby.
So what? So did millions of other people, madam.
I just think it's kind of hard to work being 9 months pregnant. And...
You working now?
No.
Where are you living?
I just got a triplex with my boyfriend.
With your boyfriend?
Yes.
Well, you didn't just have a baby and you're not 9 months pregnant, so how come you're not working?
I am looking for a job.
Well, you've been looking for a long time. Your baby was born January. So first your baby was born, then you had state aid, now you found another boyfriend to support you. Let's hear what happened in April on the 3rd, sir.
April of the 3rd, I picked Destiny up from Albertsons at the job she said she did have for 2 weeks on her lunch break. I lived 1 block from the Albertsons that she worked at.
When you say you lived there, is that where you lived together?
No, she'd actually moved out.
Okay, so she moved out and you were picking her up from work anyway?
Yeah, she asked me to come and pick her up for lunch.
Okay.
And I did so. I went down and I picked Destiny up for lunch. I brought her to my apartment.
Where was the baby?
With her mother.
Okay, so you brought it to your apartment. Is that where she wanted to go?
Yes.
For what?
For lunch.
Okay.
And at that time, me and Destiny started arguing.
What were you arguing about?
We had a car that we purchased together, and Destiny's sister's ex-fiance was the dealer of that car, and he had not sent the stuff into the state, and Destiny went back to him and asked him to change it because she was going to leave me. And
you mean to change the title?
Change the title. And he
to her name?
He rewrote the whole title to her name.
When was the car purchased?
In November of 2005.
In November of 2005, where did the money come to purchase the car?
Destiny had a car previous to that. It was a Pontiac Grand Am We sold that car and used that money to put the down payment for that car. I supported that car and I paid for all the repairs, fixings. And
From November until April,
no, from when Destiny first moved out.
which was when?
In August 2005.
So from August 2005 until April,
Yes.
you made the payments on the car?
I made the insurance payments as well as the car repairs for both the Jeep and the Grand Am.
Who made the car payment?
Destiny had moved out and she used the state's aid for the car payment.
So you were both paying something for the car?
Correct.
Now I understand what the argument was about. You were annoyed that for whatever you put into the car, you were getting nothing.
Yes, and
Okay, fine. So that's what the argument was about. Now, what happened during the course of that argument? Because it escalated and the police were ultimately called.
Destiny also was selling my stuff on eBay.
What stuff?
Video game consoles. I had a very large collection of almost every game console, and
I don't know what that is.
the PlayStations, the Sega Saturn, and Destiny was selling on eBay. I then asked for Destiny's keys back. She said no.
You mean she was taking your property out of your house?
Yes.
Were you selling his property on eBay?
We
The answer is either yes or no.
Technically, no. We both owned the game consoles. I had talked to him about this. We sold them on eBay and we split the sharing.
Split the what?
We split the money that we received from it. He made a credit card payment and I made a payment to Les Schwab from the tires that I bought for him.
I'm not talking about tires. I'm asking you whether you were selling his property on eBay.
I know. Technically, it was both of our property and we split the money that we got from eBay.
So then there were arguments. So you asked for her keys back because you said she was taking stuff from your house.
Correct.
And she wasn't living there anymore.
Correct.
Good. Okay. And what happened when you asked for the keys back?
She denied me the keys and said that
What did she say?
she had more stuff inside the house. She wanted to move out. Her keys were then sitting on top of her purse. I pulled them out, and that's when Destiny grabbed for the keys back, and I refused to
Give them back.
Give them back.
Go ahead.
Destiny did scratch my arm. I had scratches on my arm, and that is in the police report. However, the police report would not be released to me.
Just listen to me. After you grabbed the keys, by the way, whose name is on the lease?
Mine.
And she had moved out when?
She moved out in July.
She moved out in July. She was still coming around in April?
Yes.
Is that right?
No.
When did you move out?
I moved out of the apartment in April.
When did you stop sleeping there?
April.
Is that right?
Yes.
I thought you said she moved out in July.
It was the end of July, beginning of April. June.
Mr. Mealy, you want to go over the months again?
I have my months confused.
So you had not been sleeping in the apartment. You already broke up.
Yes.
Is that right? And you moved out and you moved in with your mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You told the police that he probably scratched himself to get you in trouble.
I wasn't sure.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Destiny Arnold claims the father of her child, Nicholas Mealy, owes for car repair costs and a cell phone bill. Nicholas is countersuing, claiming Destiny had him falsely arrested for domestic violence.
Now, when you had this argument over the keys, you say that she scratched you.
Yes.
Did you touch her?
I pushed her hands away off of scratching me, yes.
Who called the police?
I did. We both did.
Who called the police first?
I did.
And where was she when you called the police?
She was outside, standing by her car.
How did you get outside?
When he ripped my purse from my hands to get my keys, I told him I was going to call the police. I ran to the next door neighbor and nobody was home. When I ran back into his apartment to grab my purse off the counter where he had put it, he was on the phone with the police telling them that I was hitting him and pushing him. So I grabbed my purse and my phone and I walked outside to the parking lot and I called the police.
So he called the police first?
Yes.
Did you have any bruises on you?
No, ma'am.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. What happened, Miss Arnold, when you went to the neighbor's house?
Nobody was home.
What did you go to the neighbor's house for?
To call the police. He had taken my phone and my purse from me.
What were you calling the police about?
He had ripped my purse from me. And
So you were calling the police because he took your purse?
Yes.
Miss Arnold, you weren't honest with the police.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't. According to the police officer, you said that he assaulted you. That's not true.
He ripped...
That's not true.
Okay.
He did not assault you. He did not assault you. He took your purse because he wanted the keys. Not a smart thing to do, but he did not assault you. And the police officer noted scratch marks on him, nothing on you.
Correct.
I have no idea why he was arrested. And you told the police that he probably scratched himself to get you in trouble.
I wasn't sure what had happened. I did not recall touching him at all.
Well, that's going to be an expensive fib and an expensive scratch, Miss Arnold.
I really don't remember touching him.
That's too bad. I believe him.
Okay.
And I believe that it's an unfortunate breakup. She used her influence with the dealership to change the title to a car, which she knew you had an interest in. According to the police, she acknowledged to the police that she destroyed the sales agreement, which listed you as a co-owner of the car, and had the papers changed because that was what the dispute was about. You know, if things don't work out, Miss Arnold, they don't work out. But you're supposed to be fair and reasonable. I don't think you were fair and reasonable at all. So that's going to cost you. So I don't even have to deal with your claim. You're not supposed to make false reports about people. There's no question in my mind that if he had assaulted you and you went to a neighbor's house because you wanted your pocketbook back, if he had assaulted you, you would not have gone back into the apartment. You would have gone yet to another neighbor. But certainly if one is in fear of their life or their physical situation, they don't go back to the same environment. They leave. You chose not to do that. You chose to go back, which suggests to me you weren't in fear. You knew he wasn't going to hit you. You knew he wasn't going to put his hands on you.
Yeah.
And the only reason, put your hand down, and the only reason you called the police is because when you came into the apartment, he was on the phone with the police.
He is an abusive man. He has taped the binky into our daughter's mouth. My mom had seen him push.
Listen to me. Stop making up stories. Sounds to me as if however old you are. How old are you, 20?
18.
18. Well, you already have a baby with one man. You moved in with your mother. Now you moved into another apartment with yet a new boyfriend. Sounds to me your life is going in a downward spiral. I suggest you fix it.
Okay.
Judgment on the counterclaim for the amount of $2,000. Your claim is subsumed by the counterclaim, which means it's taken care of by the counterclaim. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. May step out.
He will not see her. He will not have any contact with her.
They can say what they want and lie about what they want.
I will be going to get full custody.
Those are just comments.
And I know he will never see his child again.
I plan.
When did this incident take place?
January 27.
Tell me what happened on January 27th.
Defendant Albert Chen, he discovered that I was going to display clothes at a ballroom dance school, and he became very jealous and
he went with you.
He insisted he had to go. While we were there, he took me into a storage room. He started screaming at me, calling me names. He also attempted to burn my clothes and burn my face using a lighter.
In the storage room?
Yes, he tried to injure me and burn my face.
You managed to get free, according to your complaint, from the storage room. Is that right?
Yes, there are people there and people knocked on the door. He left, and when I tried to leave, he was there behind my car.
And he got into the car with you?
Yes, so I gave him a ride home. While I was driving, he blew anger at me. He punched in the windshield and tried to break the window. He also pulled the handbrake, tried to stop the car, and he yelled at me and tried to grab me out of the car. He said he wanted to die with me. And there are policemen behind us, and they took him out of the car.
And you were actually taken into custody. Is that right, sir?
No, the police took me out because I have a open can of the beer, and then they thought I was drunk. But
Where did they put you, Mr. Chung?
On the street.
They left you just on the street?
On the street.
You left, is that right?
I told the policeman I was very scared. I do not want the defendant to be in my car again. The police officers told me I could file a police report. And
did you do that?
Yes, I went to a local station and filed a police report.
That night?
That night. And an emergency restraining order was granted to me that night.
And what happened when you got home?
When I stepped into my house, it was close to 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard defendant Albert Chen leave a message on my recording. He sounded angrily on the phone. He threatened me to pick up the phone. I did not pick up the phone. 15 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I knew it was him, so I did not answer. And I tried to call 911. And defendant called in my phone at the same time, so I could not dial out. He threatened me to give him $35 for the taxi fare.
For the cab fare?
Yes. I refused, but he threatened that he'll make a scene out of it and wake up my neighbors. So I brought the money out and gave it to him. He forced his way in. Once he's inside, he grabbed on me and threw me on the ground. He got on top of me. He twisted my wrist. He injured my spine and my joint. And he attempted to rape me by pulling down and ripping my pants. and I brought my evidence of the ripped and torn pen.
I don't have to see them.
The elastic was broken.
Go ahead.
And I started screaming, and he stopped. For the rest of the night, he abused me by threatening me to drain the toilet cleaner. He forced me to smell lighter gas. He threatened me that if I reported the police, he would kill me.
How did it come about that he left your apartment?
My mother called about 9 o'clock in the morning. The first time he did not let me answer the phone. I said, if I don't answer, my mother will call the police. Then he let me answer the phone. My mother said she was coming over. So then the defendant left. And I called the police and made the second police report. But I told the police officers that I do not want him to be arrested because I was too scared that this guy will retaliate.
Let me see the police report.
This is the first police report. This is the second one. And the bottom is stated that I asked the officer to not arrest the defendant.
Why?
Because I was too terrified.
Then why do you come to court now, Ms. Fong?
Because it's 4 months after, and also putting him in jail is very intense, that he will become very angry and retaliate. I also have the photos of the policeman talk on me. It was kicking on my face that was injured. Also on the damaged carpet, on the damaged closet door, and the damaged portable closet, and also the burned clothes. The policeman also took his lighter and burned clothes for evidence.
All right, Mr. Chung, I have a couple of questions for you, sir, because I've read your answer. Now, there is no question that you did, in fact, pull the emergency brake. Is that right?
Yeah, I did pull the emergency brake, the handbrake, yes. I want to mention why I need to pull the handbrake, because I told her to stop the car because I feel we were arguing in her car and she drives pretty dangerous. That's why
I read your story. That's not a reason to pull a handbrake.
Okay.
She hadn't been drinking that night you had. You had an open can of beer, is that right?
Right.
Okay. So the police took you out of the car. And how long did you stand out on the street waiting for a taxi cab?
Around like an hour and a half.
And you were very angry at that time.
Yes, I was angry.
Then why did you go to her house that night? Because there's no question that you went back to her house. Is that right?
Right.
Now, you didn't live with her.
I did not live with her.
Then why did you go back to her house after being very angry? Listen to me, Mr. Chung, because I'm very smart. You tried to get out of the car. She wouldn't let you out of the car, according to you. You were so frightened of the way she was driving erratically that you pulled the emergency brake on the car, according to you. Is that right?
Yes.
The police came and rescued you. Is that right?
No,
they rescued you by getting you out of the car. Is that right?
Right, just getting me out.
That's according to you. They rescued you by getting you out of the car. Now you're rescued. She can't hurt you anymore with the car. So, quiet.
Excuse me.
I'm speaking.
Okay.
So you're standing outside it for an hour and a half, and it's very late at night. About midnight?
And midnight.
And very cold.
And really, really cold.
And you don't live with her.
No.
Then why don't you go home?
Because...
No, look at me. Why don't you go home?
Because I was angry, and I heard she told the police I'm making trouble on her, and I was angry. I just wanted to go to her home.
So you were angry.
Right.
So now you arrive at her house after having had a little to drink, being out in the cold for an hour and a half, and you're very angry. And what do you do when you get to the house, Mr. Chung?
I want to talk to her.
What do you do? Did you call her and tell her you wanted $35 for a cab?
Oh, I did.
She gave you the $35 for the cab. Is that right?
Right.
Was the cab waiting for you?
They kept waiting for me.
And then you went back upstairs.
Right.
Why did you go back to her apartment?
I was angry, and I know I was stupid. I go back to her house.
So what did you do to her when you got to the apartment?
I argued with her.
Tell me how you argued with her,
okay.
sir.
I told her, you know, how come she just ignoring me? And when the police come, she told the police just don't know me, something like that, just like her, just like friend.
Are you telling me, sir, that you didn't put your hands on her?
Oh, I never put my hand on her.
No, he's lying.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Manessa Fong says ex-boyfriend Albert Chung injured her during a sexual assault. Manessa says Albert terrorized her over the course of 24 hours.
How long did you stay there that evening?
All night.
Did she ask you to leave?
She never asked me to leave.
That's a lot of baloney, sir. That's baloney. Because even if you were only arguing with her verbally, she would have asked you to leave.
She didn't ask me to leave. She let me sleep in her living room at the floor. She told me, because I am legally blind, I'm visually impaired, I cannot drive, and it was late, around like 2 o'clock, and she let me sleep in her living room, and next morning she woke me up, and then I left. But we were arguing for a long time.
Right.
Right.
Why do you believe that Miss Fong would have made 2 police reports if you had not threatened her?
Because when the argument, by the time, my language was very strong and insulting her, and she was angry. And I just want to make sure you understand, I didn't do anything physically.
I don't believe that, sir.
her.
I believe that you did something physically to her. I believe that you did. I believe that you went there that night and you were very, very angry.
Right.
And when you are very, very angry, based upon something that you did earlier that evening, you, for whatever reason, wanted her to stop the car, and you pulled the emergency brake up. You could see good enough to pull up the emergency brake.
I don't need to see, I can feel it.
Just like you can feel her face. You pulled up the emergency brake, which means, Mr. Chung, that you have a temper. And what she did later on that evening, which was, according to you, felt sorry for you and let you sleep on the floor of her apartment, that doesn't sound like the kind of woman who would not let you out of a car if you wanted to get out of the car. So you got a temper. You've got a temper.
What's
and I
temper
believe
mean?
that you punched the windshield on the car. Didn't break it, but I believe that you punched it.
I did.
Sure, because you have a temper. And that was before you were standing outside for an hour and a half in the cold at 1 o'clock in the morning. That was before. After you were really mad because she was ignoring you in the ballroom. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. You better stay away from her, because you see this judge? You may get some very nice judge if you go near her again. You may get somebody who will be very sympathetic with the fact that you tell them that you can't see, you're legally blind, you're a poor soul, all right? You can't put your hands on anybody. Never. In anger. And get away with it. And I'm just very sorry that she didn't follow through. But I tell you something else. If you ever go near her again, ever, it is very possible that you're going to get unlucky and get somebody just like me. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
And if you get somebody just like me, you're going to go to jail. And they don't care what your handicaps are. Do you understand?
Yes.
Keep your hands to yourself and stay far away from her. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000 as requested. Stay away from her.
Thank you, Your
You
Honor.
are excused. You may step out.
I was terrified. The defendant was threatening me if I arrest him and put him in jail, he will kill me and my family.
I didn't do jail.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCall versus Wilhelm, step forward, please.
71-year-old Bourbon McCall is suing his former friend, 32-year-old student Sandra Wilhelm, for unpaid loans and the cost of a car. Sandra says Bourbon's lawsuit is an attempt to keep her in his life.
Mr. McCall, it is your claim in this complaint that you were romantically involved with the defendant and made a series of loans to her, including a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Then she broke it off, and you want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
When and where did you meet Mr. McCall?
I met Sandra at a local pub that we both frequented
Okay. When?
sometime in March, Your Honor.
And when did you make this first loan?
Well, the first thing that happened, I had bought a computer, and Sandra agreed to come over and download it for me. Then she'd had an accident, and she had picked up a DUI, and her car was wrecked. So I then called her and asked her if I could be of any help to her. She said, well, my mother's got a car, that 88 Crown Victoria. Her mother was asking $2,300 for the car. I gave Sandra $2,300. We went in. She gave us the title. We then proceeded to go down and get it plated and titled.
Did you expect Miss Wilhelm to pay you back the money?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell her that?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Shh. Quiet. When did you tell her that?
I told her that before we bought the car. I said,
What did you say?
I said, if we buy a car, I'll help you get a car. But I said, I want title to that car. She said, well, how am I going to get plates and insurance and the rest of it? Why don't we just purchase a vehicle? You'll have the first lien on the vehicle so that I'm protected.
The truth of the matter is, you really are not terribly protected. All you are, if you had title to the car, is you're exposed in case she has an accident, in case she doesn't get insurance.
Well, she did that.
I know, but that's a problem. Miss Wilhelm, first of all, how old are you?
32.
How old are you, sir?
71.
Okay. Miss Wilhelm, this, whatever kind of relationship you had with the plaintiff was of relatively short duration. I read your answer very clearly, and your answer says that he clearly wanted more from the relationship than you were prepared to give him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can I see the title to the car, please?
Yes.
Who
I
has
just
the
have
title?
a certificate of title.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here's a copy of the title.
And I'd like to see the certificate of title.
This is Exhibit B and C showing the registration and the application.
I just want the title to the car.
He has the title.
This is a copy. Who has
Yeah.
the original?
I have the original at home. I just made a copy of it, Your Honor.
Well, that wasn't very smart, sir.
Well,
That wasn't very smart, because I read the defendant's answer very clearly. She says, Bervin's goal was to control me. When I didn't respond to his advances, he became increasingly hostile. Is that true?
That is correct.
It's not true.
Eventually, I told him that he could have the car back because it's not worth the harassment. That's what you wrote. Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
Good. Sign the title over to him. Sign it over. Now.
He has the title.
You're going to sign the copy. We'll conform it. Show where to sign, Bird, would you please? You're getting good at that.
Where? He told me he didn't want the car, Your Honor.
Sign the title over to him.
Signature of seller. And print your name.
Now, give it to him, please. Thank you, Bird. Perfect. Now, let's get to the second part of your lawsuit is you made a series of loans to the defendant. When did they start?
Started after we had purchased the automobile. She just needed money time after time, and I felt like we were committed enough. We'd already committed that we would go to Texas once she got through her ordeal, and that she would move with me, take the kids. She wanted out of Indiana, so did I.
She's 40 years your junior.
Yes, I know, Your Honor.
Very foolish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very foolish. Do you have a promissory note, sir?
No, Your Honor.
You gave her money for a lawyer.
Yes,
How much money did you give her for a lawyer?
$500.
That's not true.
You gave her money to pay her mortgage.
$500.
Did you ever get a note from her for any of those things?
No, Your Honor, I was too involved.
Well, you were too involved, and that's what you get when you're too involved,
That's
sir.
right.
You don't get paid for that.
That's right.
That's stupidity.
Well, I said that myself, to myself.
Well, if you said it to yourself, unfortunately, you got to listen to me say it to you again.
That's okay.
So this was a lesson that cost you perhaps a couple of $1,000s. Miss Wilhelm says that you never gave her any money, I assume. Is that right?
That's correct.
Never gave you any money?
No.
I don't know whether I believe you that he never gave you any money. I sort of think he probably did. In any event, you knew each other for a total of maybe 8 weeks. In the 8 weeks, the plaintiff is out a substantial amount of money. I can't get you back all the money that you were out, sir, because I really feel as if you didn't have a contract with her with regard to these cash loans that you made to her, cash gifts that you made to her. But clearly it was your intention to have a hold on the car, which was the largest amount of money that you turned over to the plaintiff, by having your name placed as a lien holder on the car. That is some evidence of a debt. That is why you got your car back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Rest of your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Basically, is trying to make a relationship.
She was claiming what was not true.
I thought them being 40 years my senior that it would be totally harmless.
She was unwilling to settle it outside the court.
He told me he was not interested in the car.
I did have proof that I had interest in the car.
We basically wanted to go ahead and keep that as leverage to keep things ongoing in a manner which I couldn't accept.
to incur as a result of that some overdraft fees. Mr. Abrams says that you're always blaming him for things that aren't true, that aren't his fault, and he did not take any property that belongs to you. So what, Ms. Abrams, makes you think that he took property that belongs to you?
Well, on the 20th of July, he took me to a doctor's appointment, and the next day, the 21st of July, when the charges occurred.
On the 21st of July is when the unauthorized charges began?
Yes.
The day later?
Yes.
What kind of charges were placed on your debit card?
There was one charge for $326.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
Sprint PCS. What is that?
The Sprint PCS cellular phone bill.
So somebody paid a cellular phone bill on your debit card?
Yes.
And then somebody paid a T-Mobile bill?
Yes.
And then there were a lot of fees. Another T-Mobile bill for $54 on the 26th of July.
Yes, and the defendant owns the T-Mobile.
Does he also own a Sprint phone?
His brother does, as well as he does.
What's your cell phone number, sir?
Mine?
Yours?
773-827.
Okay, and what's your other phone number, sir?
What other one?
You have two phones?
No, no, I don't.
Your brother has a phone?
Yeah, my brother got a Sprint
What's
phone.
your brother's phone?
773-494.
Excuse me, he has the T-Mobile. That's not his T-Mobile number. Can you ask him to tell you his T-Mobile phone number?
What's your T-Mobile number, sir? Just, you be T-Mobile number. Fast!
816.
So you have two phones?
No, that was my old phone until I got the new one right here.
Which phone did you have in July of 2006?
The T-Mobile.
And which number was that?
The 816.
In your honor, with that I have a paper from T-Mobile stating that the charges were made to that phone.
You had a prepaid cell phone?
Yes.
Well, you used her credit card in order to make these payments.
No, because my oldest brother, he had gave me the money to put the prepaid on.
Sir, this company has said that this phone number, 816, was used to pay bills using her credit card. You mean you think that out of the 300 million people who live in this country, it just so happens that you, who took her to the doctor on the 20th of July, had this phone number? Do you think that that's a coincidence that I'm about to believe?
No.
So you want to tell me what happened with her credit card?
When I took her to the doctor on the July 20th...
Just make sure I don't get aggravated. Just remember what I said. This company has verified that of the 300 million people living in this country, 816 was the one that in an unauthorized fashion used her debit card. You got it? Now I want to find out how you got hold of that card.
On July 20th, she had asked me to take her to the doctor. I took her to the doctor. When we went to the doctor, she had gave me her coat. She took her purse in the back with her. So I don't understand how I made the charges on the 20th if she had her purse with her in the back by the doctor's office.
I don't want to know what you can understand. I want to know how your number was used to make these unauthorized charges. Explain that to me.
I don't know how, because my oldest brother had gave me the $21.50 to put on the prepaid account.
Well, I don't understand it either, sir, but in July you had this number, right?
Yes, I did.
This is not something she has to deal with. This is something you have to deal with. You have to go figure out from T-Mobile resolution team, how come your phone number received the credit for all the bills that were paid that she had to pay, so that don't ask her how it happened, don't ask me how it happened, because I'm going to charge you for services that you received. Your bills got paid by her. Who was this?
My mother.
You get it?
Yes, I got it.
His bills got paid by her. He wants to know, how could it be if she took her pocketbook? I don't know. I don't care.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What you're telling me is Officer Byrd went into her wallet and took her credit card and decided to pay your son's phone bill. Do you understand how stupid that sounds?
And later today,
Sugar got sick.
No, Sugar did not get sick, Your Honor.
So you had toes and then you got a second.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marie Abrams claims her cousin, Mark Abrams, stole her debit card and used it to make several charges. Mark denies the accusation.
Now, his bills got paid. That's a very nice thing. They're his responsibility. They're his bills. He's going to pay them. You want to say something?
Yes, I do.
Good.
A lot of times when my older son would give him the money to pay the phone bill, she said, give me the money and I use my credit card. She wrote down a lot of information for him to use her credit card to pay these phone bills. She would go overdraft and pay other people's phone bills with her credit card and try to blame my son for it. And I believe my son would not do that.
Listen to me, madam. He received the credit by having his bills paid by her. Do you understand?
I understand.
Do you
Why would she
understand?
leave her purse
Listen to
laying
me.
around?
Listen to me. Why did she leave her purse laying around?
Yeah, she left it laying around with it unzipped, and people can go in her house and pick it up, pick anything out of her purse in her room. Everybody goes in and out of her house.
The apple don't fall. How many children did you make?
5.
Excuse me, Anna.
Just wait a second.
He doesn't know nothing about what went on my son
Listen
right
to me. I want you to try to clear your brain, if you can, and listen to the logic of what you're saying. She left her pocketbook lying around in the doctor's office, in her house. Anybody could have picked up the card. She is only charging him with the charges that were actually made that benefited him. His phone bill, his expenses. He should pay that, not her, right? Now, if what you're telling me is she left her pocketbook around and Officer Byrd went into her wallet and took her credit card and decided to pay your son's phone bill. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
You think she got that?
I think so.
I certainly hope so. Charging for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Step out.
Apologies are excused. You may step out.
My cousin's always accusing me of doing things that I didn't do.
Chris Laxon is suing her ex-husband, Henry Laxon, for vet bills he promised to pay when his cat Toes became ill. Henry says he wanted the cat euthanized.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Laxon. You mean you couldn't work this out? You had to come here?
Yes.
You two folks have been divorced for how long?
About 7 years.
And from what I read in the complaint and the answer, you have children together?
Yes. Yes.
You have shared custody of the children?
Yes.
That seems to work out fine.
Yes.
Perfect. Testament to your parenting and your ability to put the children's needs over your own.
Thank you.
So far correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Case is about the cat.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Laxon, you had a cat for the children. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children, Your Honor.
How old are they?
Jonathan is 9 and Brittany is 8.
So 2 little kids. And I understand from the papers that they had had a cat previously that died.
Yes, Your Honor.
When did that cat die?
Well, that cat died probably not too long before this one did, probably about February. We got it from the neighbor downstairs. Unfortunately, it had been through some traumatic experiences previous to that, so it was just a matter of probably when, because the kid they were watching it actually drowned it, and they brought it back to life.
So it died in February.
Yes.
And you got another cat.
Yes.
That cat's name is?
This one's now named as Sugar.
And where did you get Sugar from?
We got her from the local pet shop.
When?
I would say about 2 to 3 months ago.
And then that cat got sick. Sugar got sick.
No, Sugar did not get sick, Your Honor. The one that got sick was actually Toes.
So that was a third cat.
Okay. Well,
Was
actually,
that a third cat? That was a third cat. So first you got one from a neighbor in February. That one died.
that is correct.
Then you got Sugar from a pet shop.
That was just recently.
I'm talking about the cat, sir, that is the subject of this case.
I understand, ma'am.
That's Toes.
Yes, Toes and Moonies, we got...
You got Toes after the first cat died.
No, actually, we got Toes before the first cat did.
So you had Toes, and then you got a second cat, and the second cat died.
Okay. No, Toes and Mooney, Your Honor, was the very first cat that we had. When I moved into the apartment, we didn't have any pets. So Toes and Mooney, I got as both kittens, okay, and they were doing really great. Then the neighbors downstairs was about to move. They couldn't take their cat with them. That was Mischief.
Mischief you took, and Mischief died.
Correct, Your Honor.
Oh, Mischief died. And then Toes got sick?
Toes got sick probably about a month later.
And when Toes got sick, your former wife took the cat to the vet.
Yes.
And it was very expensive vet bill. She believes you should be responsible for the vet bill. And your defense is you told her that you weren't paying for the vet bill and that you told her that she should have the cat put down and she felt as if it was not a good idea to put the cat down since the children had already lost one pet within a relatively short period of time. She now has toes.
Yes.
And the children didn't go through the death of another pet.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, when did Toes become ill, Mr. Laxon?
I came home on a Monday night after work and picking up the kids from school, and I saw him laying on the floor very still by the refrigerator, and I, nudged him a little bit with my foot. You okay, kitty? Okay? And then I bent over.
How old was he?
Toes was probably only about 3.5 years old.
What did you do?
Well, when I bent down to rub him a little bit, make sure he was okay, I could see he was breathing. He opened up his eyes. I didn't move him, so right away, because Chris had worked with animals before, and I know she's pretty good authoritarian on cats, I called her up on the cell phone, and she called me back from work, and I said, can you please come over and look at him? I think he's dying. And she did. And then I said I'd watch the kids, and she would take him to the vet. I said, please have him put down.
Why would you say that, Mr. Laxon? So far, up until now, quite frankly, I'm crazy about you. But why would you, before you even found out what was wrong with the cat, tell them to put the cat down? Maybe it just had indigestion. Go ahead.
Well, Honor, I've worked around animals a lot, being from the Midwest and Iowa, and that my cousin had a farm. I've never seen a cat or an animal like that being that sick, and knowing that the veterinarian bill would be rather expensive. We had a cat like that together in our marriage. He ended up being about $900.
But wasn't this cat part of your family? Lived indoors?
Yes, Your
It was
Honor.
with your children?
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
Right, Mr. Laxon, how do you explain that to your children?
Well, Your Honor, I realized that it was a very hard thing to do, a decision that had to be made.
Even before said, you told her to put the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor.
You better hope that your children don't take the same approach with you when you get older. They say, listen, I love my father and I love my mother, but, my mother took good care of me. She took good care of my cat. She spent whatever was necessary to take care of the cat. My father, on the other hand, said, listen, you're part of the family, we'll get another one. Put him down.
Well, Your Honor, I realized that being that expensive, the most important thing to me was always provide for my children first. $900 could go easy for clothes, food, a college fund, or, maybe even a couple more toys. I mean, another cat would actually be more cost effective. I do love animals very much. I love Toes.
Mr. Laxon, what you're saying is you can have an animal in your house for a substantial period of time, have an animal part of your household, and if it gets sick or if it requires expensive shots or something, you just say, listen, let's put this one down and get a new one, because I can use that money instead to pay for your college or to buy an extra pair of jeans or something. Why would I spend that on an animal that I can replace for nothing? Is that what I'm hearing, Mr. Laxon? That's what I'm hearing, sir.
I understand you're saying that. You can never replace love on an animal.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Laxon, and I guarantee you, if you gave your children the choice of whether they got an extra toy or whether their cat was given the medical assistance they needed, your children would say, take care of Toes.
That is correct. Unfortunately, being as young as they are, they don't always understand the necessary things it is to be an adult and make important decisions to run a household.
Well, I'm talking to you about making a decision that I believe is in the best emotional welfare of your children. Children can get along without another toy. They can even get along, without an additional jacket, or they can get along without expensive sneakers. But it takes a while for them to get over the loss of a pet, especially when they're aware of the fact that the pet could have been saved with money, even money that you may have to pay over a long period of time. I want to tell you something, Mr. Laxon. You're gathering from what I'm saying, sir, that you don't have my sympathy.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. Okay, so you took the cat to the vet, and what happened, Mrs. Laxon?
Well, I originally met Henry and the children at the golf lessons, and he told me off to the side that the cat was laying on the floor dying. So I said, I'll come over to your house, because if it's dead, the kids won't be able to handle it, and I'll take care of the kids. I got there, the cat was still breathing, and I said, I'll take him to the vet. I have an open credit card. If you'll pay my credit card bill back, I'll be happy with that. It's a zero balance. I won't charge anything else to it. He said, okay. So I took my daughter, who was 7 at the time, with me to the vet. She waited while they took the cat. I called Henry and said, they're doing these tests on it. It's going to be about $300 for the tests. He said, okay. About 10, 15 minutes later, they came back with the x-rays, the blood results, and they said, this is what's wrong with the cat.
What was wrong with the cat?
He had kidney problems, kidney infection. They weren't sure at first whether it was stones or kidney failure. He had blood in his kidneys, so they had to catheterize him. He was in the hospital for 5 days. Actually, he was in for 7 days. But I called him back and I said, this is going to run this much. It's going to be over $1,000 for the whole thing. What do you want me to do? He said, go ahead, we've already gone this far. I said, okay. So they took the cat. I took my daughter back to his house, picked up my son, and we left. Next day, from my understanding, Henry went down and visited the cats at the hospital. On Thursday, he called the vet. And on Friday, I went to pick up the children from his house. I said, "How's the cat? Let me see him." He says, "Well, you know, you should have put the cat down. I told you to do that. It's your bill. You're stuck with it. If you want the cat, he's at the vet still." I said, "That was never our agreement. I took our daughter with us. I would never kill a cat with my daughter in the room." He said, "Well, it's your problem." So I called the vet. I picked the cat up on the Sunday. He's now home with me. He's had medical treatments. He's doing very well. He's 14 pounds, and he just loves us to death. He's like a little puppy.
How many cats do you have in your house now, Mr. Laxon?
I have 2, Your Honor.
And you?
I have 4 now. Mine are very old, 15 years old.
That your former wife took your daughter with her to the vet?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
Were you there when she took your daughter to the vet?
I was at the house when she took the daughter to the vet, yes, Your Honor.
And you want me to believe that she took the cat to the vet with your daughter there and they were going there for the purpose of putting the cat down?
Yes, Your Honor, because that's what I had instructed her to do.
Okay. When she came back, Mr. Laxon, and you found out that she had not put the cat down, and it was your cat, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pick up the phone and call the vet and tell the vet to put the cat down?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Why not, Mr. Laxon?
Because I depended on Chris to do that.
No. Listen, you just said to me, sometimes when you're a parent, you have to make hard decisions. And even though your children don't understand those hard decisions, that's what you have to do as a parent. So here, you gave an instruction to your former wife to put the cat down.
Yes, Your Honor.
Something that you could have done.
That's true.
Same way, you take your daughter and go to the vet and put the cat down. It's your cat, right?
You're right, Your Honor.
But you gave the cat to your wife with your instruction, according to you. Now, the same day you found out that this is not what she's going to do, you had 2 options. Either you let her go ahead with it, or you call the vet and say, "This is my cat, and I'm giving you an instruction to put the cat down." You chose not to do that. You pay the bill. How much is the bill?
The total bill was $1231.96.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, actually, I really think it was a bad choice on her part. This actually allows people to now raise bills on your case and then turn around and put you with the bill.
I'm pleased with it. She saw the honesty in me, and she saw that he wasn't telling the truth, and she saw that it was all about the children really more than anything else.
I think there was probably a little bit more involved. Before in the past, when I got child custody from her, she always said someday she'd try to get the money back, and I think this is her way to try.
Our custody is 50-50. I'm very happy with the way things are, and I thought he was too.
Life does happen like this. Animals get sick.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Price versus Emerson, step forward.
Peggy Price is suing her ex-boyfriend, Corey Emerson, for loans to pay rent, fix his bike, and travel to his brother's wedding. Corey says the money she gave him was never a loan.
Ms. Price, Mr. Emerson was your boyfriend for a brief period of time, and according to your complaint, you made a series of loans to him. You want your money back because he broke off the relationship. He says that he did break off the relationship. Any money that you gave him during the relationship were gifts because you cared for him. He needed the money. That's what people do, care for each other. They help each other out. And the only time it became a loan was when he broke up with you. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are you, Mr. Emerson?
30 years old.
Ever been married?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
Just once.
When and for how long?
I was married when I was 20 for 9 years.
You have children?
2.
How old are your children?
9 and 10.
Do you see them?
Almost every day.
So you're a good father.
I try to be, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Emerson?
I work for the railroad.
And how long have you worked for the railroad?
6.5 years.
Pay child support?
Yes, ma'am.
What about you, Miss Price? How old are you?
32.
Ever been married?
Yes.
When and for how long?
2000 until 2005.
Have any children?
2.
How old are they?
5 and 13.
Do you work?
I do.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm self-employed hairstylist.
Children see their father?
Yes.
Do you pay child support?
He's disabled, so they get Social Security.
And your former wife, sir, what does she do?
She has an in-home daycare.
So it would be a fair statement, Mr. Emerson, to say that both of these families are sort of struggling to make ends meet financially. That be a fair statement?
I wouldn't say that I'm struggling, nor would I say she's struggling at all.
Really?
That's correct.
You think there's plenty of money to go around?
I do.
Then why would you take money from her, Mr. Emerson?
I didn't take any money.
No, listen to me, sir.
Oh.
You did take money from her. Whether it's a gift or a loan, you did take money from her, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, if these two families are in pretty much similar circumstance, why would you take money from her?
Things come up, things need to be paid. She offers to pay for those things. I wasn't going to say no.
Why not? Is my question. Why not? Would not a person with a certain moral compass say, listen, you're a working gal, you got 2 little children, I'm a working guy, I got 2 little children.
Somebody offers me money, who am I to say no?
A creep. That's who you are. Because whether I determine this was a gift or a loan, you're a creep. You're not talking about somebody who's got plenty of extra cash and says to somebody that she cares about, listen, I got a lot of extra cash. You need something, I'll help you with it. You were pretty well aware of the fact, if you were dating for a while, that she's a hard-working gal who comes home from work, takes care of her kids, does the cooking, whatever, does everything that has to be done. And you, on the other hand, who see your children every day, which is really very nice, probably have much less responsibility with regard to doing their laundry, with regard to taking them to their appointments, with regard to doing the general stuff, what I call the grunt work, because your children do live with their mother, don't they?
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're going to decide whether you are a creep that took the money because it was a loan or a creep that took the money because it was a gift. Either way, I don't approve of your behavior. When did you start dating Mr. Emerson?
The 2nd week of May 2006.
Tell me when and under what circumstances he asked you for the first amount of money.
He wrecked his bike, the fork broke. He said that he didn't have the money to pay for it. Sent me a text message, can you do me a huge favor? That's how all of them start.
Could you do me a huge favor?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What did it say?
I need money to pay for the fork for my bike. I said under the condition that he make payments, whatever. Eventually it's got to be paid back.
When did you tell him eventually he has to be paid back?
I didn't set a date. I just said, you know, whenever you can pay me back.
Okay, so and how much was that for?
This check was for $409.81.
Okay, next.
Then he was having problems. He didn't have enough money to pay his rent. So
how did you find out about that?
He sent me a text message again asking him to help him pay his rent. And I said, how much is it? And he said it was $640 with late fees. I said, how much do you have? He said he had like $400 in the bank. And I said, I can help you out, but once again, it's, you know, we're adding this on. So I wrote a check for $640, but he gave me $403 of it.
Go ahead.
Then he had to get home. His brother's wedding was like a month before.
He had to go to a wedding?
To Montana. And, you know, we talked about it, and I'm like, I can help you out if you want me to, whatever, I can help you out.
I don't want whatever. You're in court now, Miss Bryce. You have to be specific about what you said to him and what he said to you, and I want you to trust me on this. I know what you're making up and I know what you're not making up. Do you understand?
Right.
So a month later, he had a wedding?
Yes.
Where were you when he asked you for the money for the trip?
We were at a bar.
And what did he say to you?
He just said that he didn't have the money to get there. Could I help him out?
And what did you say?
I said, I can do what I can, you know, but...
And how much was that?
The plane ticket was $346.60, and the Greyhound bus that I put him on, because I waited till the last minute to get the plane ticket, and it was going to be $900. So I wasn't going to do that. I didn't have the money to do that, and he knew that. So I sent him on a Greyhound, and that was $159.
Okay, and that's it?
Yes.
And what date was that?
He left on the 1st of August and returned on the 8th.
And when did you and Mr. Emerson stop seeing each other?
He came in on the 11th, which was a Friday, at about noon.
To your salon?
My work, yes. I proceeded to give him and his son a haircut at no charge, thinking everything was okay, because we'd had no problems up till then. And I got a text message 6 hours later from him saying that we needed a break, and, you know, this wasn't working, it was moving too fast. And so we went back and forth through text messages, and I said, you know, I have the right to know why you're feeling this way. I've done everything in the relationship I've given.
And he said? He
said, since you're giving me an ultimatum, it's over.
Okay, now, Mr. Emerson, it's your turn. June. June!
June. The mountain bike. I wrecked my mountain bike. It was going to cost about $400 to fix it. I had talked with Peggy about the price, and she offered to pay for it.
What would you talk to her about the price for?
Well, we're in a relationship. We talked about, you know, I talked about wrecking my mountain bike and, you know, what it was going to be to fix it. And
why would you tell her that? Why don't you tell your ex-wife that?
Actually, I did tell my ex-wife that.
Did she give you any money?
No.
You have living parents?
Yes.
Well, your mother loves you for a longer time than the plaintiff did. Why don't you call your mother and say, I broke my spoke?
I didn't need to. The plaintiff had already offered to pay for it.
She wouldn't need to have offered to have paid for it, Mr. Emerson, if you didn't have a problem. And you wouldn't have had a problem if you called your mother, or your father, or your brother, or your sister, and said, could you loan me some money? Then you wouldn't have even had to mention it to her.
It wasn't a loan. She just offered to pay for it, ma'am.
Well, what about Mr. Emerson? You need not do that. I only know you 8 weeks. And I wouldn't think of taking any money from you because I have a mother who gave birth to me. I have an ex-wife who I support along with my 2 children. I have a brother, sister, father, you know, who I've known a long time. I wouldn't think of taking money from you. How about that?
Didn't even cross my mind.
No, that's because you're a creep. Now, Mr. Emerson, you want to tell me what cathartic event happened between the 1st of August when you went home to your brother's wedding and the 11th of August when you had your hair cut and your son's hair cut for free at Miss Price's salon that caused you to send her a text message that said, we need a break?
It had been leading up.
Can you tell me the cathartic event between August 1st when you left on a plane ticket that she purchased for you and when you came back on a Greyhound bus ticket that she had purchased for you that caused you to say, we need a break?
Okay, it was...
Follow my train of thought, sir.
It was big deal was the plane ticket. She tells you she's going to do something and she'll play along with the story. I'm going to do this. I've got it taken care of. Don't worry. I'll do it.
Just a second. Just a second. Let's get rid of the gobbledygook, sir. What you're complaining about is
the fact that she does not follow through.
Listen. What you're saying is she sent you home by bus instead of plane. Is that what you're telling me?
That was one of the problems, yes.
Okay, very good. Major creep. Major creep. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,154. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm disappointed there was never any agreement that any money would be paid back.
It was a loan, and he said he owed me nothing.
It was all offered with no strings attached.
He continued to say he owed me nothing.
There was nothing malicious about any of my activities.
I told him he couldn't get any more money when he came.
$28.86.
So he paid back $2,900. And in addition, according to you, Thomas, you purchased some equipment.
Yes.
And you purchased that with your own money from your work.
Yes.
And there came a time when you went to live with your mom and you would ask your father what was the payoff on the bike. You wanted to pay it off because you wanted to take it with you and your father said no. And now you are suing him for all the money that you put into the bike and the equipment.
Yes.
Your father says that you didn't follow through with the contract that you made with him and you're not getting the bike back and you're not getting the money back, right?
Wrong.
Go.
The agreement was I purchased the bike, I held it for 3 months, and me and Carol, my wife Carol, we talked about it, and then I go, let's give it to him to get him on the right track. And so we agreed on that. So I took him out to my mother-in-law's and showed him the bike, and he started crying.
Listen, I don't have to hear about that, sir. He paid for the bike.
He paid $2,800.
He paid for the bike. You didn't buy him a present.
No.
You said, if you want this bike, you can have this bike if you pay for it, which he was doing out of the money he was earning. Mr. Miller, you cannot keep the bike that he paid for once he pays the remainder of it. You can't do that. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Then why are you?
Well, he went a whole year without paying for the bike, though.
Did he ask you for it?
He called up, say, if I pay off the bike, would you transfer the name into my name?
And you said?
No.
Why not?
The bike was for him.
No, just a second. If he said, if I finish paying off the bike, and he owes $700 on the bike, if I finish paying off the bike, will you let me put it in my name? And why would you say no?
He's a minor.
Is that the reason?
No.
Well, then don't give me a lot of baloney, Mr. Miller. What was the reason?
To keep my son on track, because he was lying to me. His grades were bad.
You have two choices. If you had given him a conditional gift and said, this is your bike, it's in my name. If you get good grades, when you turn 18, I'll title it in your name.
Yes, I will.
That's not what happened. He bought this bike himself. You did not give him a gift.
He didn't finish paying for it.
He's going to finish paying for it. Where's the bike?
In the garage, right where he keeps it.
Fine, I will prepare an order that he can come and pick up the bike. Now, what's left on the bike? $700?
Nope, $661.
$661. That's what's owed on the bike. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Your Honor, my wife wants to speak.
What? Stand up if you want to speak.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a lot more to this story than
There may be a lot more to the story. Your husband is being very inarticulate with me.
Your Honor, we had an agreement with Thomas. My husband and I decided to purchase this bike for Thomas to teach him a little bit about responsibility,
Mrs. Miller, if you decided to purchase a bike for Thomas to teach him about responsibility, then you buy it and you pay for it. And if he goes to live with his mother, I'm speaking, and if he goes to live with his mother, then you do not have to give it to him. But if you purchase the bike and put it in your name and he paid for it, it's not yours. You cannot keep it.
there were other conditions.
There cannot be conditions if he paid for the bike. That results in unjust enrichment to you. That is a term in the law. Unjust enrichment. That means bike, and you have the bike. So the fair thing is, because I'm not going to give him the money, because that means that you get to keep the bike.
I don't want the bike.
We don't.
Rebecca Thompson is suing the mother of her son's schoolmate, Miranda Peters, for medical bills. Rebecca says Miranda's boy broke her son's arm while roughhousing.
Your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Just next to you. Who was the basketball player? What's your first name?
Keith.
And yours?
Michael.
Your arm got broken in school.
Yes, ma'am.
Your arm got broken when he bumped into you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I was trying to get into the game, and pretty much...
When did this happen?
March 17th of 04.
You were trying to get into what game?
In PE that day, it was pretty much a free day, and I was trying to get into the game, and they were pretty much just shoving me off.
Who was?
All the players. So I would steal the ball and run away with it, trying to be funny, and all the players would chase me.
So what I'm hearing is neither team wanted you to play that day, so you decided to play class clown and steal the ball and interrupt their game.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened next?
Well, all the players pretty much chased me down and eventually got it from me, and while I was standing in the crowd, he gestured for the other players to clear a path to me, and when he did, he tossed the ball at me. And whenever I saw it was coming at me, I just tensed up and turned, and it hit me in my left hip.
Didn't hurt you?
No, ma'am.
And then what happened?
I just sort of walked up to him. Behind him was a gym mat, pretty thick and soft. So I wrapped my arms around him and purposely fell onto the gym mat. Everybody was laughing, and he did the same thing to me. And
you wrestled him, then he wrestled you to the ground, to the mat.
It was not an act of anger.
Okay. So you weren't angry with him?
No, ma'am.
And you don't think he was angry with you?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
Well, there was a rolled-up gym mat close to the compacted bleachers to the wall, and I got in between that, and just for the thrill of not being seen, and about 10 or 15 minutes.
I don't understand what that means. Just for the thrill of not being seen.
Just a childly...
No, well, what were you doing?
Nothing.
You mean you were hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you hiding from?
Nobody.
Keith.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I'm getting a whole good story. I love this story so far. He wasn't angry with you, you weren't angry with him, but now you're hiding someplace, and you're not hiding from anybody.
Well,
that doesn't sound like you could...
Well, I mean, me and my friend Anthony were both doing it, and he was behind another one to the right of me, and about...
What were you doing?
Just hiding.
Just hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And, well, I tried to get out, and I pulled... It was kind of tight in there, so I was trying to wheeze my way out, and I pulled my my left arm across my chest, and about that time I just felt the mat be shoved into me.
The mat being shoved into you by?
By Michael.
And that's how you broke your arm?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Michael, what happened?
I rammed the mat. I wasn't intentionally trying to break his arm. I was just horseplaying with him, like we were earlier. And
so you were horseplaying?
Yeah.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Miss Peters, your defense to this says, let me read it so that I make sure I get your language clear. I told her that with children, and particularly with boys, these things happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain that to me.
The reason I said that boys will be boys and that it wasn't my responsibility to pay for the bills was because it was an accident. He didn't mean to do it.
It wasn't an accident, Ms. Peters. That's your problem, you see. If your son was playing a game and during the course of the game he ran into this structure, not intending to come into contact with Keith at all, but it was during the course of a game and he was at a place where he could get hurt, that's an accident. But that's not what your son told me. Your son told me he saw him there and he was just fooling around with him and rammed him. Unfortunately, when he rammed him, his arm was in such a position that it broke. Okay. So his action, not in breaking his arm, I don't think he intended to break his arm, of course not. But he intended to hit him. And for that, he is responsible. Just as if his leg, when he tackled him to the mat, horseplay. But when young people were involved in horseplay, and if you had broken his leg, who would have been responsible?
I would have.
You're right. What were your medical expenses?
Before or after insurance?
After insurance.
After insurance, the total was $706.07.
I'm not saying that your son bears any responsibility with regard to this incident, but I believe he has to know that when 10 people are playing basketball, you're not supposed to act like a jerk, right?
Yes, ma'am. We've already established that.
Good. You know, Michael, sometimes when you do the wrong thing, things happen. There are consequences, even those that you don't anticipate. You got to start being a two-process thinker and say, listen, if I do this, this could happen. It's not worth it. Being a fool is not worth it. Being a fool isn't worth it. How long was your arm in a cast?
6 weeks.
And this happened in March, so it was during school.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't even get to relax. When did you get the cast off?
I'm not sure.
End of April.
So you got a chance to enjoy the summer.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You still friends?
I think so.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in that $706.
David Boudreau says ex-girlfriend Valerie Kassler owes for rent and for stealing money from a shared bank account. Valerie says she was entitled to that money.
Mr. Boudreau, you and Ms. Kassler were involved in a relationship, according to what I read in your complaint, for a period of time, and did in fact live together.
Yes, Your Honor.
I believe she moved in with you,
Yes.
and you have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
I have a total of 4, and I have 2 that live with me.
So you moved in with Mr. Boudreau with your 2 children?
Actually, we got the place together. He was living at the time with his parents.
Did you sign a lease together?
I was the main person on the lease.
Then the answer is only you signed the lease.
All our information was on there. For
Who
insurance.
signed the lease? Raise your hand.
Both of us did.
Great. As joint tenants?
Yes.
Now, it is your complaint, Mr. Boudreau, that after the two of you separated, Ms. Kassler went to a joint bank account and she withdrew some money. That's $1,600.
Yes.
And she had not put that money into the account. That was your money, because
Correct.
this was sometime after you had separated that she closed the account. Ms. Kassler has a variety of reasons why she believes she was entitled to that money, and she's going to explain that to me. When did you move into this apartment together?
November 22nd of 2003.
And when did you move out of the apartment?
May 14th, 2005.
So you lived together for some period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
And your arrangement was, according to what I read, that each of you would put in $800 a month to cover your household expenses.
Correct.
Correct.
When was the last time you put money in that account, Ms. Kassler?
April 3rd.
April of 2005.
2005. I apologize.
At that time, you were still living there, so that $800 covered May rent.
Actually, that was for April's rent and bills.
Is that right?
Yes.
What was the rent?
$1,100.
And you had gas, electric, cable,
Correct.
whatever. So I would assume that at the end of each month, there wasn't much left over from this $800 a month. That $800 a month just pretty much covered the bills
Some
for
months,
each month.
yes.
Okay, good. Now, when did you withdraw this money, Ms. Kassler, from the account?
When I took it all out, it was in June.
Now, Ms. Kassler, you knew that in June of 2005 it had been 2 months since you put any money into the account. And if there was money in the account, it was money that Mr. Boudreau had put in the account. Is that right?
Correct.
So now the ball is in your court, madam, to explain to me why you believe you're entitled to that money.
There were various months, which I have all written out here, that I put in over the $800 to cover the bills, and some months I put in extra to cover the rent because Mr. Boudreau was not working. And Mr. Boudreau also stated that when we moved with him to North Carolina, that if we were not happy, he would pay to move us back to North Carolina. I ended up having to pay to move myself back here. My son was a witness to a lot of these conversations. That's why he is here. But I ended up putting over $2,270 extra in that account to cover bills.
How much extra did Mr. Boudreau put in the account some months?
None.
What you're saying to me, twofold. What you're saying to me is twofold. That the reason you took that money out, stop playing with your papers, Mr. Boudreau.
Oh.
The reason you took that money out of the account is twofold. A, because you thought you put in more than your fair share during the course of the year and a half that you were living together. That's one. And two, if I don't buy that argument, you had to spend money to move you and your family back home, despite the fact that Mr. Boudreau had said that if things didn't work out, he would pay for your moving.
Yes.
Is there any other reason that you want to offer me why you closed that account and took out
Because
the
I
money?
wanted my name off of that account.
Okay. Is that the primary reason why you went to the bank?
I sent them a letter to close the account.
You have a copy of that letter?
Yes, I do.
Let me see the copy of the letter, please.
Right here. And then here's a copy of the email with the bank.
All right, so the first thing that you did was
I sent
when
him
you
an email.
separated.
Whoops.
Okay. At least initially, I get the sense, Ms. Kessler, that what you intended was just to have your name taken off the account. And if that meant that the account had to be closed and reopened in his individual name, that's what you wanted.
Yes.
And then you ask the question, well, what happens to the funds that are in the bank? Because the bank says, it can't just take your name off, the account has to be closed. And you say, well, then I want the account closed. And they say, well, okay, we'll send you the paperwork and you close the account, because you can do that. And then they say, well, what do you want to do with the funds in the account? And you say, well, how are those funds going to be dispersed? And they say they send you a check, because you're the one closing the account, and you put it in your bank. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I tried contacting him, and he would not answer the phone. Or
What did you try contacting him for,
just
Ms.
to
Kessler?
get my name off of there. And
All
then
right,
he sent
so-
me threatening emails, and I said, because I was going to let the money, extra money that I put into the account go, just to sever contact with him. He sent me a threatening email, and I said,
Did
"That's
he?
it."
Can I see it?
How
See
many
what
do you
happens
want?
when you're not nice, Mr. Boudreau?
I do.
You see what happens when you're nasty? You could have eliminated this whole thing if you weren't nasty. What'd you get nasty for?
Because those emails I sent, most of them were replies back to her she sent to me. I mean, she called me in 475 times in a little bit over a month.
You have the records
And
of that?
I have the records of that
I
right
see.
here.
What'd you call him 475 times for?
When I first went down there, he had worked on my computer, and I was having computer problems. And some of those,
475 times?
and if you notice, some of those calls were made to the cell phone first, and because he did not answer the cell phone, I called the house phone.
475 times?
Well,
Where
I
is
have
that?
emails here to bet that
Miss
say,
Kessler.
why won't you answer the phone?
Miss Kessler. 475
that's what it
times.
says.
That's harassing. All right, think about when he says nasty things to you.
I mean, before that, he had threatened my life.
This is disgusting, sir. I don't care what she said to you. I don't care if she called you 475 times. This is disgusting.
And I have a lot more with those words in him. He would say that to me in front of my children.
How long did he say that in front of your children before you moved out?
That's why I got out of there.
He said it, listen to me, the first time, not the second time. The first time he used this language in front
Too
of my
long.
children.
Too long.
In front of my children.
Too
You're a
long.
tough girl. I mean, I read what you did.
Too long.
I read what you did. You're a pretty tough girl.
I should have got out longer than I did.
Absolutely right. One time, use this kind of language in front of my children, and I'd be gone. If you let him abuse your children that way, that's your problem. They're not his children. You know why you're here, Mr. Boudreau?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're here because you have a big, fresh mouth. A big, fresh, nasty mouth. I mean, I never saw somebody string these expletives together in sentences like this. Don't you have any other way of expressing yourself, sir? Don't you have any other way of, in a civilized manner, expressing yourself?
I tried every way.
No.
I tried every way.
You
and
think that saying it this, Mr. Boudreau, you think that using this kind of language is going to get her to stop calling you? You think that this kind of language in a letter is supposed to inspire her to do things in a reasonable way?
I mean, 475 phone calls.
What did she want
emails,
from
messages.
Mr. Boudreau, what did she want from you, sir?
No, I have no idea.
What did you want
I
from
have
him?
no idea.
Shh, Miss Kessler.
Right now, my kids want
No,
their
no,
dog.
no, shh. Forget the dog. Just go. Forget it. Go buy him a new dog.
I didn't want
I'm
anything
asking
from
you.
him. I wanted him to leave
So
me
what?
alone.
So what were you
And-
calling? Shh. Listen to me. What were you calling him for? Don't think. What were you calling him for?
At first, to get my computer straightened out, because he's the one that formatted it. And there were programs on there that I didn't understand how they worked, and he knew how they worked, and I was trying to get him to help me with them.
At first.
Mm-hmm.
After he didn't return your calls because he didn't want to talk to you. At first, then there has to be a second. What was the second reason that you called him?
Stupidity.
Right. And then you took his money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all.
Party's ex.
Jessica Lager says former friends Brent and Nick Boots vandalized her car by jumping on the hood and...
Thank you, Bert. Miss Lager, these two young men used to be friends of yours, and it is your claim that some time ago they vandalized your car while they were probably drunk, acting like fools. What's your last name?
Boots.
And yours?
Boots.
Are you brothers?
Yes, we are.
The Boots brothers?
Yep. Yeah.
You ought to make a movie out of it. Boots brothers. They say it wasn't them. When did this happen, Miss Lager?
On my 21st birthday, June 3rd, 2006.
And where was your car at the time?
It was at my boyfriend's mother's house, Janelle Foley's.
That would be you?
Yes.
Could you stand up? Because you weren't there.
Correct, I was not there.
When had you parked your car in front of your boyfriend's mother's house?
Well, I was letting her borrow it for quite some time because her vehicle was getting fixed at the time.
What kind of car did you have?
It's a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm old.
It was a 2001 Nabira Daewoo.
What is that?
It's a four-door silver
Nabira?
vehicle. Nabira.
Where is that made?
I believe Korea, but I'm not sure.
I never heard of it. I'm so pleased that you didn't. I'm sure it's a lovely car.
It was a lovely car.
Miss Foley, do you remember June 3rd, 2006?
Yes.
I knew you were home on June 3rd,
Yes.
2006. Which one of the Boots boys is going to speak?
I will.
And what is your first name?
Brent.
And yours?
My name's Nick.
No, I think I want Nick to speak. Now, Nick, how far do you live from Miss Foley?
Only like 2 blocks.
You have any reason to be near Miss Foley's house?
I'm best friends with their kid.
Keep your voice up, Nick.
I'm best friends with their son,
What's her son's name?
Bart.
Is that person here today?
Nah, he's not.
Your younger brother?
Yeah, it was my younger brother.
How long have you been friends?
Since I was like 2.
Tell me about June 2006.
Well,
No. Don't look there. Don't look there.
Well, we were at her house and... Sorry. We were at her house, like, having a party or whatever, chilling. Just a get-together, I could
How many
say.
people were there?
Just like 4 of us.
Which 4? The 2 Boots boys?
Her. And then my girlfriend was there, and then her son was there.
There were 5 of you there. That would be 5. Let's count
Or
them.
other than me.
Nick, you want to count them? That would be 5 altogether, right? And when had you started chilling?
I'm not sure what time it was.
Around 9 or so, I'd say. 8 or 9.
And then what happened, Nick?
We were just drinking and whatnot, and then we left.
Drinking. What were you drinking?
Vodka,
Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe.
No! Don't speak unless I speak to you. I want Nick. Don't speak. Where did you get the vodka from?
I believe it was from her, because it was
From
her
who?
21st birthday. Jessica.
Was she home?
No.
Well, where did you get the vodka from?
We met up with them earlier on that day.
And she gave you a bottle of vodka?
Well, she purchased it for us. We gave her the money.
So you gave Miss Lager the cash, and she went into a liquor store and purchased how much vodka?
A liter.
A liter. That's a big bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty big.
And what were you mixing the liter with?
We were just taking shots and drinking pop.
Shots and pop.
Shots and pop, yes.
And then what happened?
Nothing. We all had fun, and then once the night was over, we all went home.
And didn't see Miss Lager's car? No. Miss Lager, did you purchase vodka for them?
No, I did not. No, I do not purchase vodka for underage minors.
Why do you think furry?
To make it look good for themselves.
Nah. They could have just said, they found it. So I believe that you purchased it for them.
It was my 21st birthday. Why would I purchase alcohol for them?
I have no idea, because they were with your boyfriend's little brother.
I wasn't even near them all day. I was with my mother all day.
Okay. Ms. Foley, tell me what you saw on June 3rd with regard to the Boots boys and Miss Lager's car.
I was at home. My son Bartley came up late that night and said, Mother, Brent and Nick are out kicking in Jesse's car. You need to come out and make them stop. So I went down, I looked out the landing. Brent was on the hood of the car, the roof of the car.
Brent, why couldn't you let Nick go on the hood of the car?
So I went down 2 more flights of stairs. By the time I got out there, Brent was off of the car, standing by the passenger mirror. Nick was standing in front of the car trying to kick the headlight. And he had stated to me that he had kicked the headlight and it didn't break. And Brent said he kicked the mirror off, but it didn't come off all the way. And I asked him why they were doing that, and they were mad at Jessica, I guess, at the time. So
why were you mad at Jessica?
We were mad at Jessica, but...
Well, tell me why you were mad at her. I just want to know why you were mad at her.
Stole a digital camera from my ex-girlfriend out of our house.
Oh, then I don't believe that she bought you alcohol. There you go. See what happened? If you were mad at her, why would you give her money to buy you alcohol on the same day?
She was always around anyways.
Oh.
Because I used to be best friends with him over there, her boyfriend.
We all hung out every day.
Now, she's the mother of your really good friend, right?
Yes.
So you know her for a long time.
Most of my
You
life.
go to her house? Put your hand down. You go to her house?
Every day, practically.
She sometimes gives you a sandwich?
Yeah.
You know?
I eat over there occasionally, I could say.
So you think there's any reason why she would lie about you?
No, I wouldn't see a reason why she would.
Why would she lie about her son's best friend, who she sees every day of his life, who she's very good to? Why would she lie about him?
I don't know.
Do you understand my problem here, Nick?
Yes, I do.
You know where I'm coming from?
Sort of, yeah.
Are you twins?
No.
Who's older?
I'm older.
What about your older brother here? Did he ever go over to Miss Foley's house?
Yep.
Eat at her house?
We didn't really know much people in the area, so we were there all the time.
And Miss Foley was always nice to you?
Most of the time, yes.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell such a horrendous lie about you vandalizing a car that she was driving? Huh?
Maybe because Jessica's going to give her some money for it or something.
No. Then you would have to say that she's a liar and a thief.
She is.
Miss Foley?
Oh, not Miss Foley, but Jessica.
I'm talking about Miss Foley.
No, she's not a thief.
Miss Foley is the one who identified you, not Miss Lager. You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar?
On this
Nick!
minute, yes.
You want to look at Miss Foley and tell her she's a liar? You followed your brother.
Yeah.
No, say this. Miss Foley, you're a liar.
I wish she wouldn't lie, that's what.
Uh-huh. Evidently, you were a better friend than your older brother, because you couldn't say it. Now, when you do something wrong, you're supposed to fess up. Now, it's possible that you two morons don't remember, because you were drinking a liter of vodka, what you did on the night of June 3rd. That's possible. How old are you?
I'm 19.
And you?
21.
Can I see an estimate on fixing your car and the photographs, please? Are you still friendly with her younger son?
Not really.
Was he also involved? Well, you don't know. Was your youngest son involved in this?
he didn't, nope.
Was he? Just a second.
No, he did not do anything to the car.
Did you want to say something?
I was going to say I thought you were talking about him, but I am friends with her youngest son, yes.
No, I asked if her youngest son did anything to this car.
No, he wasn't there. He was upstairs the whole time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Did you hear what he said? He said no, he wasn't there. He was upstairs all the time. You just let him go and go and go, and after a while, they just, you know.
They'll sign off.
They just sign off on it, right?
It was in an accident.
Yeah, her car was in an accident before that, and it was all dented, and she was trying to say that we did all that when it couldn't
How much
possibly...
did you do?
I didn't do nothing.
Well, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Now, if you said to me, listen, we got a little drunk, and we acted stupid around the car, but a lot of this damage was done before.
This stuff
I'll talk
happens
to you.
all the time in our area.
What, that you jump on the
People-
hood of a car?
No. Vandalism.
I asked you a question. Your brother couldn't say it. If Miss Foley identified you two boys who were lifelong friends of one of her children, there would have to be a reason. Because when people identify someone who's caused damage to their property, they want the right people punished. They don't want the wrong people punished. They want the right people to pay for the damage. Now, if she had some axe to grind with you, I could understand it. But you've given me no motive for her to lie about it.
She wasn't even there. This is completely false and erroneous. And
Yeah. No, you're erroneous.
no.
You're erroneous and irrelevant. Erroneous and
And the
irrelevant.
car's not even worth that much to begin with.
You're absolutely right. How much did you pay for the car?
Around $7,000.
Okay, well, I'm not going to give you $11,000 to fix it.
No, I don't.
No. You could go buy yourself a new car.
Car can't even drive down the road straight. You let go of the wheel and you'll be in
Listen,
the
you
ditch.
couldn't walk straight. That's not up to you, young man. That's not up to you. When you damage somebody's property, you take it as you take it. That's it. And when you act like a fool, that's why they don't let people drink until they're 21 years old, because even 21-year-olds are morons. 20-year-olds and 19-year-olds are double morons. They shouldn't even be allowed out of the house after 9 o'clock at night. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. Thank you, that's all.
Thank you,
Parties are excused. You may step out.
22-year-old Amy Freshley is suing former friend Herman Velasquez for rental car charges and for damages to the vehicle. Herman claims he owes Amy nothing.
Miss Freshley, you had an automobile accident.
Yes.
You knew the defendant, who was a mechanic, and you entered into an agreement with him that he would fix your car.
Right.
And according to you, your agreement was that the car would be ready in a week or 5 days. If it went over that, he was going to compensate you for the rental car.
Exactly.
Now, the car wasn't ready on time. He was supposed to pay for the additional days.
Right.
In addition to that, it is your claim that he took the rental car,
Exactly.
which for some reason you left at his shop, drove it, and caused damage to it, and you were being charged by Enterprise Rental Car for the damage that you ascribed to him.
Exactly.
Okay. The car you were in an accident with was a 95 Tahoe?
Yes.
Is that your car?
Yes.
Alone?
Me and my boyfriend's car.
Who purchased it?
We both did.
You have insurance?
Yes.
Did the insurance pay for the accident?
Yes.
How much?
$4,045.
Who did they pay that to?
Paid it to me and my boyfriend.
Did you take the money?
I took the money and paid Herman $2,800.
They paid you $4,000 for something that he fixed for $2,800?
Yep.
And it never dawned on you to take the rest of the money and give it back to them?
They didn't ask for it back. They said they wouldn't pay for the rental, so I figured I'd use also some of that for a rental because I wouldn't have a car for a week.
Okay. So let us say he took the car, which you acknowledge. He took the car.
Yeah.
Don't acknowledge that you had an accident with it or that you damaged it.
No.
But you acknowledge you took it.
Yeah.
So let's say $2,800 is what he charged you for the car.
Yes.
Plus you say that he should be responsible $340 for the additional days that the car was rented
Yes.
when he didn't have it fixed on time.
Yes.
Right? Plus $340. Plus $701 for damage to the car.
Yes.
That's $38.41. Did you have any other expenses by virtue of this accident that you had?
No.
Well, my calculations are that you're still ahead $200 from what you scammed out of the insurance company. You expect me to give you more money? What are you looking at me? Am I speaking some sort of a foreign
No,
language
I just
that you don't understand?
expected to be paid for a car that I rented, and he said he'd pay for the extra week.
You didn't pay for the extra week. Your insurance company did. Think of it this way. On what date did you have the accident? March 29th?
Yes.
March 29th. On March 29th, you started off with a car that was in good running order.
Yes.
Right? And zero in the bank. On April 15th, you had $4,045 in the bank from the insurance company.
Yes.
2 weeks later, you had your car back. You had rented a car, and you still have an extra $200 in your bank. Now, what you want me to do is give you the extra $200, plus you want him to pay you $1,100.
Yes, I would.
That means that at the end of this accident, you have your car
It doesn't
and an
matter what
extra $1,300. Insurance isn't supposed to make you rich, madam. It is supposed to compensate you for your damage.
But that wasn't the deal when I had rented.
The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is to be an honest insured. I'm speaking. The deal that you entered into with your insurance company is that if you had an accident, they were going to compensate you for the reasonable cost of having your car fixed. And the reasonable cost of you having your car fixed was $2,800.
That's because he told me that's how much it was going to cost.
So why didn't you tell that to the insurance company?
I did. He actually wrote up something higher than what he was going to charge me.
And did you tell the insurance company that he did
No.
that? Let me tell you all about the doctrine of clean hands. The doctrine of clean hands is something that we learned very early on in law school. It says that when a citizen comes into court and asks the court to hear their case, they can't come in with dirty hands, which means they can't come in being wrong, scamming somebody and saying, well, he's a worse scammer than I am. Why won't you help me? What he did was worse. I had a deal with him. We had a deal that he was going to jack up the cost of fixing the car. He was going to have the adjuster come to his place and say it needs this and this and this and this and this. And he was going to get $2,800 to fix it, and I was going to end up pocketing the rest, which was $1,000 or whatever. And the only one that was going to be out is the insurance company, and they got plenty of money anyway. So, madam, you get from me nothing. Zippo. Nada. Except a lesson in morality. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Coach Kiev says her former live-in boyfriend, Jovial Monzon, owes for the return of property and for the cost to repair her home.
Miss Kiev, how long did you and the defendant live together?
We lived with each other for over 5 years.
In your complaint, you say it was 6.
6 years, yes. That's when the trouble started.
And during the time that you were living together, were you working?
Yes, I was working.
Continuously?
Continuously.
And what about the defendant? Was he working?
No, he was always between jobs. He had over 5 jobs.
How long were you unemployed, Mr. Monson?
It was like a month.
But other than that, you were working?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you arrange your finances?
In my paycheck, I pay the mortgages and bills.
And what about with his paycheck?
His paycheck, whenever he can help me, he'll give me some money.
It doesn't seem like a very, very appropriate financial arrangement. Did you have a joint bank account?
At one point, we did.
Oh, fine. So you had a joint bank account. And when you had a joint bank account, did you deposit your paychecks?
Yes, I did, but money was missing from the account. Plus, child support was pulling money from the account because he owed over $53,000 in arrear back payments, which I have evidence.
You don't have to show me. I got it. You picked them.
Right. Right. Bad apple.
Well, I would have figured that out if it's true within a year, not 6 years. You have no children together?
No.
Perfect. This is your complaint. You say that he trashed your house when he moved out, and you want him to fix up the house, that he also took all the property in the house. When he moved out, you want the return of value of your property. Also say that he has a car that was evidently in both your names. You don't necessarily want the car back, but you want your name off the title because you don't want to be responsible for the car anymore.
Correct.
Now, Mr. Monzon says that the car is just as much his as it is yours, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who paid for it?
Apparently I did.
What do you mean apparently? What does that mean?
Because she said that I didn't make the house payment, so then my check only paid the Montero, so I guess the Montero's mine then.
I have...
I mean, that's what she told me. My check wasn't making the house payment. It was just paying the bills in the Montero. Hello, how did you make the house payment then?
Just a second. Did you take any property from the house, sir?
The property I took from the house...
No, the answer is either
yes, I did.
Or no. What property did you take from the house?
I took some furniture that I bought.
That you bought when?
When we were together.
From what money? Is not an answer.
Like August.
From the money August?
I mean, what'd you say about the furniture? I mean, you're confusing me, I'm sorry.
I want you to try to pay attention, not try to think ahead.
Okay.
It will be too taxing for you. I want you to think of what I'm saying just at the moment. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you get the money from that you used to purchase the furniture?
Oh, from my check, from my work, my job.
Okay. Did you deposit it in a bank account?
No, I gave her my check, and I had my own money.
You mean you had different money from the money that you earned from your work?
Since we were no longer together, as she claimed, I wasn't going to give her the rest of my check anymore.
I'm asking you about the furniture that you purchased, sir, that was in the house.
Yes, I purchased it.
Oh. See, this is not going to be easy. Listen, almost marrieds don't cut it in court, especially this one. Is not particularly interested in your almost married debt, your almost married joint property, your almost married bank accounts. You choose to get married, we've created an entire and an elaborate court system to deal with that. You choose to live together without benefit of marriage. There are certain things that you're going to fall short when the relationship terminates. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So, You want the furniture or the car?
I'll take the car.
Perfect. Where's the title?
I had the register already in my name, because that's what she wanted.
Fine, so it's out of her name now.
Yes, it is.
Is that what you want?
Yes, and also the F-150, his truck, my name is also on there too.
The F-150 is in my dad's name. It's no longer in the name.
Okay, listen to me. Where is all the furniture?
Some of it is gone because she abandoned the house and me, and I didn't know when she was going to come back or not. She left right.
Where's the furniture?
It's gone.
Did it fly away, sir? Did the earth open up and take it?
Some of the furniture was still there.
Okay. Mr. Monzon, you're making my life very easy, sir. Very easy. Let me see pictures of the house, please.
Do you want to see the before or after?
I want to see both.
Okay.
And the property that he took from the house, give me an approximate value of this furniture that's gone.
The ones that I'm concerned about are my computer, armor, passport, necklace that I got from my mom, my late mother, and...
That's not furniture, madam. You're not talking furniture. I'm talking about furniture.
I
You're
didn't come
talking
here
about
for furniture. I came...
Oh, because you say in your complaint that he emptied out your house.
Yes, but what I'm concerned about is my computer, my passport...
Where's her computer?
The computer was bought for me. She bought that computer for me.
No, I have...
Just a second. It's not your computer. Do you understand? The computer is going back to her. You've got the car and the truck. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you get. That's what I'm giving you. Period. Everything else goes back to her, including the computer. Do you understand? Within 5 days, the computer goes back to her. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an order to motor vehicles to transfer the titles to both the truck and the car back to her name. Do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what kind of an agreement you signed when you came here? That every decision that I made, you would abide by.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Within 5 days, the computer goes back to her in good condition. Because if it's not, I'm going to take your car away. Now do we understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Okay. Now I see the nice house. By the way, you have her passport, too?
No.
You're going to have to write away for another passport. All right, it's got a nice house. Can I see the after, please? Perfect. Oh, my goodness gracious me. Mr. Monzon, what were you so angry about, sir?
Well, I was angry at her, but I didn't take it out on the house. House don't hit back.
I understand from reading the complaint that there came a time when you weren't there. He changed the locks on the house. Did you change the locks on him?
Prior to November, I did.
Did you let him back in?
No, he kicked the door in.
And what did you do?
I called the police because
And the police told you that you couldn't lock him out?
No.
Okay. Did he come back into the house?
He came back into the house.
How?
He kicked the door into the house.
You already told me that he kicked the door once.
Right.
And the police were called.
Right.
What happened when the police were called?
They told me that you should have locked him out because he has every right to be here.
You shouldn't have. That's what I thought.
Because I was coming home from work, and I didn't know I was being locked out anyways.
I would have locked you out a long time ago, but that's just me. Who made the holes in the wall, sir? I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you at all.
When I left the house, it was in good condition.
Not now. So either you did it or she destroyed her own house.
Your Honor, I was served some papers from one of her lawyers saying that they hear voices in the house. And, like, if they hear voices in the house and I'm at work, hello, what did that tell you? Somebody else is in the house. Call the police, I'm being robbed.
Mr. Monzon, you walked out of the house with probably the only two valuable things that were there, which were a car and a truck. Now you say one is in your father's name. How did it get in your father's name?
He was the one who bought me that truck, and they just put it in our name just to show him how much they cared about us, that they didn't want nothing to do with it.
He bought the truck for?
For me, but to put it in our name.
He put it in your name because you owed back child support, and they were going to take the truck if you put it in your name alone. Who are you kidding?
No, that wasn't the reason why.
Wasn't the reason why?
No,
but it was a very good reason. Is that smart of me to think of that?
Yeah, it is, but it wasn't.
Right. Right. I'm just going to cost you to clean up this mess.
I don't live there, so it's hard for me to get somebody to go and give an estimate. I've been working with my realtor, and she's been trying to get someone out there also, and we haven't...
Well, how do you expect me to figure it out?
It's a lot of damage. I have receipt from when I installed the carpet, brand new carpet, and the stove that he damaged. I have receipts of it.
In what year did you install that?
It was July '06 when I had the house on the market.
And was he living there in July of '06?
July '06, he actually went to rehab, drug rehab. He was gone for a week.
You had been living with him. So if you put the new carpet in the house, madam, it's from monies that you had pooled together.
No, this is money from refinancing my house.
How much did you take out of the house?
I took out to pay off the car, which was $21,000 on the car, and
which car?
The Montero.
You paid off the Montero?
I paid off the Montero. I have the refinancing paperwork. Shows the check distributed to Mitsubishi.
Can I see that, please? You paid off the car?
Yes, I did.
You want the car?
I do want the car back.
Oh, you want the car?
But he refused to give me back the car, so I said, if you want to keep the car, then take my name off the title because I don't want any responsibility. But if I can get my car back, I would love to have my car back because I paid for that.
She says she took out a home equity loan and refinanced the house for $21,000 and paid off the Montero. Is that true? I have paperwork here.
I guess so. I mean, like,
What year is the Montero?
2002.
How much was it?
$800 and something that apparently I was making the payments on.
So you can't pay for both the house and the car at the same time?
No, but apparently she said she was. It's her car and the house. Your Honor, the house, okay, the house, we bought the house together. I mean, like, I'm not even countersuing against that.
When was the house purchased?
It was purchased like 2 years ago, which my parents gave her $15,000 so she can purchase the house. We
I
could.
got you.
So, I mean,
Gotcha. And the house was put in her name?
no, she put it in her own name.
I said the house was put in her name.
Right. Why would you
Because
put my
how mu-
name in there?
Why? Because you owe $53,000 in back child support. That's why. And they would have taken your house. That's why it was put in her name. Same reason that the cars were put in other people's names other than yours. Have you paid your child support?
Yes, I pay it out of my paycheck. Comes
Oh,
out
because now they take
weekly.
it out of your paycheck.
Yes, I pay
Good.
it.
Who are you living with now?
I'm between houses.
You living in one of your cars?
No. I'm supposed to be leaving to go to Denver. Apparently, I had to come here first, take care of this.
Leaving for Denver for what?
To start anew, to get away from the plaintiff.
Where are your children?
My children are in California.
And where are you living now?
I'm living in Benicia right now.
In California?
Yes.
So you're moving hundreds of miles away from your children?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I chose her over my kids. Stupid, huh? She gave me the choice.
Listen to me.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody makes you make that choice, sir.
You're right.
Nobody makes you make that choice.
Biggest one I made.
Okay. Now, he does not have your necklace. He does not have your passport. He has your computer, which he's going to use. Do you understand?
Yes.
The house is in your name.
Yes.
Did you get a deposit for $15,000 from his family for the house?
It was $12,000, yes.
So you did. Did you pay them back?
I did.
When?
I borrowed $12,000 for the first house that I bought. When I sold that house and made some money, I paid them back after I sold the first house.
What about a down payment on this house?
I bought it with $0 down.
With $0 down?
Yes. The money was to put in the bank to show that I can make the payment.
And where did you get that money from?
I borrowed it from my sister and from his mother.
From his mother?
Yes.
Did you give it back to her?
I did. Yes, I did.
Did she give it back to your mother?
I don't know.
You were there.
Okay, fine. Okay. You get your computer back, and I believe that you're entitled for money for the car because I believe that you made a substantial payment on the car. He's going to take your name off the title. He says he's already taken care of that. But I believe you when you say you took out a home equity line of credit, and from that you paid off the Montero, so I'm giving you a judgment for $5,000, unless you want to turn the car over to her. What's your pleasure?
I'll keep the car.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
18-year-old Monica Vasquez claims ex-boyfriend Lendon Trujillo owes for kicking her car and smashing it with trash cans. Monica also claims Lendon destroyed her cell phone.
You are?
Lydia Calderon, Monica's mother.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this case particularly, do you?
No.
Except that the car belonged to you.
Belongs to both of us.
Are you both on the title?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down for a moment? You're Monica?
Yes.
This was your boyfriend?
Yes.
How long was he your boyfriend?
For about 3 years.
Monica, you say that he broke your cell phone and vandalized your car.
Yes.
He says he didn't do it. So tell me when he vandalized your car.
It was like about 1:30, and he showed up at my house.
1:30
in the
on what
morning.
On what date?
July 28th.
Where were you?
I was at home.
Who else was at home?
My sister.
It was 1:30 a.m. Do you live with your sister?
Yes, I do.
What does your sister do for a living?
She works at Premier Real Estate. She's
And
a
what do you do?
receptionist.
What do you do?
I'm a cashier.
Where?
At Rite Aid.
How long have you been working there?
In October, it'll be a year.
Mr. Trujillo.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a tattoo artist.
You work for yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
What does that mean?
I'm not working at a shop right now.
So where do you work from?
Out of my house.
Are you licensed?
No.
Do you have to be licensed where you live?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in California.
And in California, you don't need a license to give somebody a tattoo with
No,
a
you
needle?
don't.
That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you need a license to give somebody a pedicure,
Yeah.
but not to give somebody a tattoo.
No.
You
Not.
sure about that?
I'm positive about that.
Anyway, You make a living at this?
Yeah.
Well, especially since you have no overhead.
What's that? No, what? No, what? No.
Overhead.
Overhead? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was over my head. Sorry.
Unfortunately, Mr. Trujillo, that was true.
Right. Sorry about that.
All right, Miss Vasquez, why don't you tell me about what happened on the 28th of July?
Okay, he showed up at my house and he knocked on my window. I came out of my room and I went to the garage because he went around the house. And I had told him to leave because my sister did not want him around her house.
Why did he come there?
He
said you called him.
No, I did not call him.
You say in your papers, sir, that you went over to the house at 1:30 on July 28th because she called you.
Yeah, we had been talking.
No. Because she called you on July 28th. That's
Okay.
why you said you went over there, right?
Right.
And how did she call you? On your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have your cell phone records?
No. I'm sure if I went and got them, I could bring them back to you. I mean, if you wanted to, another
We
day or
don't do
something.
do-overs here, Mr. Trujillo. What we do is, when you're coming to court, you're supposed to be prepared. You know what it's like, Mr. Trujillo? You do tattooing
Yeah.
in your house.
Right.
Let's say you made an appointment with somebody who's going to get a really big tattoo. They were going to pay a whole lot of money
Yeah.
for the tattoo. And let's say they arrived and they sat down for you to do the tattoo and you forgot to buy ink.
Right. Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
That's what it's like, Mr. Trujillo, when you come here without evidence.
Yeah, I understand.
With just your good looks and tattoo. That's what happens. You're supposed to bring evidence, bring proof. So we have no proof that she called you to arrive at her house at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you went outside and you told him to disappear.
Yes.
And what happened?
And by that time, my sister had came out because she heard the knock because our rooms are right next door. And she had went out and told him to leave her house because she was going to call the
police.
Because the incident with the phone.
Oh, so the incident with the phone happened first?
Yes.
And that happened about a month before?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, I was at work, and I get out of work at 10, and he showed up at my work, so I left.
Had you not been seeing each other?
No.
Go ahead.
And I left my work, and he followed me down the street, and he was telling me to pull over, and he was next to me in my car. And so I pulled over because he was coming closer to my car, and he had said that if I didn't pull over, he would go to my house and, break windows. And so I pulled over, and he had got my phone to check it for what, I don't know, we weren't together. And I was telling him to give me back my phone, and he was like, "You want your phone?" So he cracked it in half and gave it to me. And so...
Had he been drinking?
Yes, he had a beer in his car.
Who else was in the car?
He was by himself that night.
You got to get a job out of the house, Mr. Trujillo.
Okay.
Listen to me, sir. First, I want you to tell me who these people are that you brought with you to court today.
I brought my dad to court with me today and my brother Fabian. This is my dad, Johnny, and Fabian and Silo.
Yeah, and you all live together?
No.
Do you live alone?
No, I live with my uncle.
Why?
Because my dad has recently moved, and he had moved in with someone else, and there wasn't enough room, so I actually went to live with my uncle.
And where does your brother live?
With his grandpa.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old is your brother?
19.
Who did your father move in with?
His girlfriend.
Was there a time you were all living together?
At one time, yeah.
When was the last time you lived together with your father?
About 2 months ago, I lived with my dad in Visalia.
And your brother also lived with your father?
No. My brother has always lived with his grandpa in Tulare.
Did you break her phone?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, tell me what happened, Mr. Trujillo.
Me and Monica had been seeing each other before this incident with the cell phone happened. We had been talking, and we had been texting each other, and she had told me that she got out of work at 10 o'clock. And that if I wanted to see her after work. And I said, okay, cool. I had the car, so I said, okay, I'll meet you at Taco Bell. So we went and we met at Taco Bell parking lot, and we were there. Everything was fine. We were talking, hugging, everything was cool. And then a call comes through on my phone. And when a call comes through on my phone, it was a ringtone, as, you know, the ringtones, like I know you've heard them, like the lovey-dovey ringtones, like the... You know what I mean? Like the guy and girl together ringtones. You know what I'm talking about or no? Like, I mean, I could sing one.
Special song or something.
Like, I mean, I could sing one for you. If you want me to sing one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, at the time when that had happened, we were both kind of looking at each other because I was already like, okay, you know, something's wrong, I messed up. So Monica had...
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that time, Monica had snatched my phone out of my hand. And when that had happened, she snatched my phone, and I reached for it back. We kind of got into an argument, a little conflict, you know what I mean? And
who was calling you, Mr. Trujillo?
Just a friend.
Boyfriend or a girlfriend?
It was a girlfriend.
The timing was really terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't expected.
It was messed up.
Yeah, it was at the right time. So when that had happened, I was leaning up against my car, and Monica had thrown my phone at me. Well, when she had thrown my phone at me, somehow, and you can tell she has little hands. I don't know how she had both phones in her hand, but when she had thrown it at me, my phone rolled over the car, the hood of the car, and her phone hit my car and broke. However it broke, it was snapped in half, and that's basically what happened.
When he met you at Taco Bell, had you told him that you were going to be out of work at 10 o'clock?
No, he called my work around 10, and he said, I was around the corner. He goes, I'll be there right now. And I was like, I'm going home, I'm leaving. And at that point, my boss had opened the doors to let me leave earlier than everybody else, because I had told him. And when I got in my car to leave, he was already at the corner, and that's when he just followed me.
You think if I called her boss would say that they opened the door and let her out a little early?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
What's your boss's name?
David Centeno.
Give me his number.
It's my phone, and my phone is out there.
The Rite Aid number, 67816. There you go.
7816? Now, Mr. Trujillo,
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
When somebody tells me,
Uh-huh.
I tend to disbelieve everything that they say, especially when I have to get my rather sizable keister off this chair and go in the back to make a telephone call. Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
Now, I am prepared to do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to revise your version of the cell phone events.
No, ma'am. No, not at all.
Okay, so let's call Mr. David, because he doesn't have any clue that I might be calling him. He is going to tell me whether or not he let her out early because you were going to come over.
Right.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Yes, is David Santano there, please? David, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you? Good, thank you. David, I have a question for you. I'm here trying a case with Monica Vasquez. And I want you to think back to sometime around the end of June of this year, in the evening when she was leaving. There was an incident with her boyfriend when he called the store. Do you remember that? Could you tell me what happened, please, David? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. David, you're a very, very nice man for speaking to me. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Boss is a very nice gentleman. Mr. Trujillo, I suggest you spend a little less time tattooing and piercing yourself and a little more time honing your truthful skills, sir. Honing your truthful skills. Ask your father what that means. Honing your truthful skills, sir.
Oh, okay.
Because Mr. Santano says that he remembers the evening very well. You would call the store. You said, I'm going to get down there before the store closes. They let her leave early, and they stood there to watch her get in her car and take off before you got there because she had already broken up with you, and she was afraid about what was going to happen if you got there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So now I believe very little, sir, of what you're going to tell me. So now he owes you a cell phone. Now I want you to tell me what happened when he vandalized your car.
Okay, that was the night he showed up at my window.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you came out, you told him to leave. Sister came out, and you told him to leave. And I understand that there were other people with him.
His father and his brother.
Two geniuses.
Yes. And they were all drinking.
Two geniuses. Well, they can't live together, so at least they can drink together. I guess that's what family's all about. Go ahead.
And my sister had told his dad to keep him away from her house. And his dad didn't really understand what was happening because Lyndon didn't let him know about the night with the cell phone. So he didn't understand why my sister was...
I think if there wasn't a cell phone, his father wouldn't have understood. Go ahead.
So after that, my sister had told him she was going to call the cops and get a restraining order on him. And at that time, Lyndon was mad because his dad had told me, well, then I don't want her calling him or at my house. And I had said, I haven't called your son and I haven't been to your house. And at that time, Lyndon had got mad and they were drinking. So he kind of like pushed my sister. And at that time, when he got angry, my sister ran to the house to call the cops. And at that time, I had ran back to the house too because he was still mad. and he followed me to the garage door on the side of the house. And when I closed the door and locked it, I could feel him trying to open it. He just went to the front of the garage where my car was parked, and I heard a loud noise. And at that time, I had lifted the garage door up because my sister had came out, and we seen him leave the side of my car and get into his dad's car, and the two trash cans were against my car, laying against my car.
You have pictures of
Yes,
the
I
car?
do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Outrageous. When did you purchase this car?
Last year in November.
Bought it yourself?
My mom helped me.
Who pays for it?
I do.
Paid the insurance too?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up next to him. You came here, you might as well stand up here.
Monica Vasquez says ex-boyfriend Lendon Trujillo owes for vandalizing her car and for destroying her cell phone.
What were you doing out with your son at 1:30 in the morning?
We had went to the club,
What club?
El Presidente,
What were you doing at the club?
dancing.
And drinking?
I was, yes.
With whom?
Females,
All different kinds?
pretty much, yeah.
So if you were dancing and drinking with a whole bunch of females, you weren't watching what your two sons were doing.
Actually, he was on his cell phone the whole time we were there, text messaging and back and forth. And I went to him and asked him, who you texting? And he said, Monica.
And that's what he said to you.
Yeah.
That's what he said to you, but you don't know that that's true.
No, but if I may, Your Honor,
Yeah.
the day before the cell phone incident had occurred,
Yeah.
she came to my house, and my dad was coming up from work, and she was coming downstairs. I was walking her down to her car. And that's why I don't understand really how it could go from her being upstairs in my house and me and her being together in a relationship or working things out, and then to...
Well, were you working things out, or were you in a relationship, sir?
No, we're working things out to be in a relationship.
So what did you go there at 1:30 in the morning for?
Because we had been texting each other. We had been texting and talking to each other, and...
Did she invite you there?
Yeah, I had her on speakerphone because I was the designated driver.
Yeah, she had told him
Yeah, she was in the
that
car. She knew
she
that
had
the
told
speakerphone
him
wasn't on.
that her sister was asleep, the kids were gone, for him to go over there and visit, to see her.
And what were you going to do?
I just sat in the car because I was drinking.
And what about him?
He was in the back seat.
So the two of you were just going to sit there in the back seat of the car,
Well,
in the
actually,
front seat
yeah.
of the car, while he went inside to visit with his girlfriend?
They didn't go inside. They stayed outside in the driveway.
Fine. So he goes over to see Monica, and how did her car get dented?
When we got there, Monica had stepped outside. She was walking towards her car. We pulled up, and she went like this, like waved us over there. We all three got out of the car, walked over. She showed us a dent on her car and said that she had got into an accident with a motorcyclist. And me and her made a few comments back and forth because I had just recently wrecked my Harley. And I had told her, so anyways, we said a few statements back and forth. And then me and Fabian went back and got back in the car. They stayed there talking, hugging, kissing until Marie came outside. And Monica flipped the whole script when Marie came outside because she was upset.
Were you at his house the day before?
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
When you send a text message, could you save those things?
They stay for 14 days.
Huh?
You can lock them.
Save them, right?
Yes, you can.
Show me.
Your Honor, I don't have my phone with me. I don't have any proof right now, Your Honor, so it's...
Why don't you, sir?
Because I came unprepared. I came on intentions of knowing that what I know is true.
Is everything that you said just now as truthful as you went over to the store the end of June, invited by her to come over to the store?
What, to her store, Rite Aid?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Rite Aid.
Oh, no.
No, I said I went to Taco Bell. I drove to Taco Bell. She was at Rite Aid when we had talked on her.
Why would you think, Mr. Trujillo, that she would say to her boss, concerned, I just want to get out of here before he comes over, and the boss distinctly remembers all the employees watching her get into the car to make sure she was safe and leave?
But I wasn't in her parking lot, though.
I don't care whether you were in a parking lot or not, sir. Why
I
do you
thought
think the boss would remember that?
Oh, yeah, no, boss, no. I'm not saying that. She got in her car, but I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that I did not go into her parking lot.
No, what you said, Mr. Trujillo, was that you had an appointment to meet in Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a lie. That, sir, is a lie.
That we met in Taco Bell?
It is a lie that you had an appointment to meet at Taco Bell, because when she heard from you, she asked her boss if she could take off because she was concerned about her safety. They all watched her leave.
Then why would she have pulled into Taco Bell if she knew that she could have got away from me?
I don't know what you were doing, sir. And I don't know what your drunken father was doing or your drunken brother was doing on the night this happened with the car. I have no clue. All I know is, sir, you lied to me once, and you also don't know the law in the jurisdiction where you live because you're required to have a license to tattoo. Sir,
Okay.
And what is your address?
My address right now?
Where you're doing the tattooing?
In a house. On.
What is the address?
I don't know my address. I just know it's on Bradley Street. I've only been there like a month, 2 months, so I don't know the address. I don't get mail there.
Did you make more than 3 children or just 3?
Only 3.
Only 3. So far you got 2 losers, right? 1,
I don't consider
2.
them losers, but...
Well, so far they haven't done anything to make you proud.
Sure they have.
I don't see
I
it.
graduated high school. That made me proud.
My God. My God, that's like the 8th wonder of the world.
That's an accomplishment in this family.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
You got to do something with it once you graduate from high school.
Yes, I totally agree.
So pleased that you agree with me. I've been looking forward all year for a person of your stature to agree with me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. That's all. Goodbye.
Nina Taylor is suing 25-year-old Amanda White for taking back a 1998 Ford Contour she donated to her. Amanda claims Nina misappropriated the donation.
Ms. White, according to what I read, you gave Crystal a car.
Yes.
So you gave it to her?
Yes, ma'am.
As a gift?
Yes, ma'am.
When you gave Crystal the car, her mother invested money to have the car fixed. Then, according to Ms. Taylor, you took the car back.
Yes, ma'am.
And she wants the money that she invested in the car because you took the car back. So now I have to figure this out. Which one of you 2 ladies is Crystal?
Me.
Crystal, stand up next to your mom. When did you give Crystal the...
Late July.
What kind of car was it?
A Ford Contour.
What year?
98.
How many miles did it have on it?
Approximately 200,000.
Okay, so it didn't have much value to it.
No.
And why did you give her the car?
The whole purpose, I paid the car off, and I said that when I get a new one, my whole point of not trading the car in was to give it away to somebody who was in need when I
Fine,
found
so you
that
gave it to
person.
Crystal?
Yes.
And how did you know her?
We worked together.
Why did you take it back?
We were waiting for a title to the car because I had a lien. I had trouble getting the title because of the lien. Miss Taylor contacted me right before I got the title, and she told me that she was suing me. She did not want the title at that point. She wanted the money that she says that she put into it. So I told her that I wanted receipts and I wanted to verify with my mechanic.
You have the car?
Yes.
You just give it back to Crystal.
That's not true.
Just a second. Listen to me. Perhaps Miss White didn't understand, so I have to explain the law to you. When you give a gift, you cannot give a gift with tentacles. You don't have the right to say, well, I'm giving it to you because I want to give it to somebody who's needy. But then if you do something with it that I don't like, I'm going to take it back.
Well, it's the whole idea that I was being sued. If I'm being sued for $2,000, prove it. She didn't want it.
Very
She
good.
didn't want the car. She didn't want the title. I told her I have the title.
Oh, fine. Well, just give her the... Just listen to me. Just give her the title.
I would. At the door, at her door.
Wait a second.
I
Listen
went
to
to
me.
her door and told her I
Perfect.
had it.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
Just a second. Listen to me very carefully. You're not entitled to any money. You're entitled to the car. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand? My question is now, do you want, Ms. Taylor, this is your lawsuit, do you want the car?
No.
Then your case is dismissed.
Why is that, Judge?
Because you are not entitled to the money. You fixed up the car. You're entitled to the car that she gave you. It was a gift. It was an unconditional gift. She gave it out of her heart because she wanted to give it to somebody who needed a car. You took it upon yourself to fix the car. You fixed it. You invested money in it.
But the car wasn't free. The title wasn't free. She just
It
got
is now free. Is
She
that
just
right?
got it free and clear. She didn't have it in August.
Now she has the title free and clear. Do you want the car or nothing? Do you want the car or nothing?
The car, I mean, I put money into the car. I mean...
Do you want the car or nothing?
Car.
Good. Take out the title. You'll take care of signing it over to Miss Taylor. Fine?
That's fine.
Good. Bird, have him sign over the title, please.
Okie dokie.
Perfect. Is the car at your home, Miss White?
Yes.
Okay. When do you want Miss Taylor to pick it up, or Crystal?
Anytime.
Fine. You're a doll, Miss White. You're a nice person.
Thank
It was a
you.
nice gesture.
Thank you.
This case stands for the proposition that no good deed goes unpunished. That's all. Thank you.
We've heard that
That's
all
all.
week.
Lori Torres is suing her ex-husband, Eric Bush, for the balance on an Isuzu rodeo. Lori says Eric is trying to pull a fast one.
Ms. Torres, this gentleman used to be your husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was your husband for a relatively short period of time.
Yes, ma'am.
You and your husband decided that since you had resolved all of the financial issues, there were very limited financial issues, that you got one of those quick divorces. You got in a little kit that you bought in a stationery store, 1, 2, 3, $50 in and out.
Yes,
over.
ma'am.
But this was the problem. When you separated, according to what I've read in your complaint, there were 2 cars.
Yes.
The 2 of you decided that he would keep the automobile that was titled in your name.
Yes, ma'am.
There was still a loan outstanding on that automobile, and Mr. Bush agreed that he would take full responsibility for that car by taking care of the payments on the car, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And taking care of the insurance on the car. Generally taking care of everything on the car. It was your car, but it was still in her name because you had lousy credit. So far, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had the car for 6 or 7 months.
Yes.
So you had one car, she had the other. One car that you were driving was now your car, although it was in her name, was stolen.
Yes, ma'am.
When was it stolen?
Around March, end of March.
And in what month did you start driving the car exclusively? What month did you separate and take that car?
October, November.
That's 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
In the time that you had the car, did your former wife drive the car?
No, ma'am.
When you were living together, did you have insurance on both cars?
Yes, ma'am.
When you took this car, did you get a separate policy of insurance?
No, ma'am.
How did you deal with it?
We both had both vehicles on the same policy.
Who paid the bill?
We split it. She paid what her car was, I paid mine.
So it all worked out beautifully.
Yes.
Until the car got stolen.
Yes.
And there was a deficit that was owed on the car to the loan company.
Yes.
Mr. Bush, you say that there was a $4,000 deficit. You wrote out a check for $2,000, and you said to Ms. Torres, I paid enough. Rest is yours.
No, ma'am. We spoke about this previously before the insurance came back and made the payment to the loan company, which didn't cover the remaining amount. We spoke about that previously, about splitting it.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me about the conversation.
Well, ma'am, we spoke about it. I told her, you know, the car wasn't in my name. I didn't have the car. You know, he had it before we were married and even together. She made the bad decisions when she purchased the car, which put the car in debt automatically. And I told her, I said, you know, I've taken care of it. We've gone back and forth. You know, I didn't want the vehicle from the get-go, but I took it.
Just a second, listen to me. When you say you had discussions about it, did you come to an agreement? Is that what you're getting to? Or you
Yes,
just,
ma'am.
all I'm hearing is you told her. What did she agree to?
We agreed that whatever the insurance company did not pay, we would split it 50-50.
Good. Is that what you agreed to?
No, ma'am. There was no way I was in the position
Why would
to
she
make
do
a deal
that, Mr.
to
Bush?
pay for half of the vehicle.
Just a second. Why would she do that?
I don't know. Because it was her
I don't
vehicle.
believe that she did. No. It was your car. Let me ask you this question, sir. Let's say you kept this car for 20 years and it became a classic. Not an old wreck. It became a classic. And during that 20 years' time that it's in her name, you finished paying off the car. You put a lot of money into the car. You put new paint into the car. You put new rims in the car. And you're going to sell it. And you have an opportunity to sell that car for a lot more than it was paid for initially. How would you feel if Miss Torres came to you and said, listen, the car's in my name. I want the money. What would you say?
I'd be upset
Oh, why would you be upset? The car's in her name.
because I invested time into that.
Well, but you made bad choices.
Yeah.
You invested in a car that wasn't in your name. You invested in it. You put in rims on it. You put in new paint. You put in new insides. And all of a sudden she comes back and she says, listen, it was really nice of you. Car's in my name. I just sold it for $15,000. You said, well, at least let's split it. She said, I don't want to split it with you. I want the whole thing myself. It's in my name. Isn't that what you're saying to me, Mr. Bush? You're saying I agreed to keep the car. She kept one. I kept the other. I made the payments faithfully, but something bad happened to the car. Why should I be responsible for what happened bad to the car when the car was in her name? Explain to me how that's different from the scenario that I just gave you.
She didn't invest a lot of time and money into that car. I did.
Do you see how foolish you sound, Mr. Bush? Very foolish. Now, you had a choice. You could have said, for all intents and purposes, this is my car, which is really what you said to her back in October. You said, it's my car. I can take my girlfriend out in it. I can take my fiancé out in it. I can take it to my wedding. I can take it on my honeymoon. You have nothing to do with this car. You do have a new girlfriend, right?
No.
Well, you did have,
I did.
because according to you, just a second. Ah, maybe I'm thinking about the wrong Mr. Bush. Hold on a second. Are you the same Mr. Bush that wrote right here? I'm write a check for $2,000 directly to the finance company. What happened to that girlfriend?
It ended.
Did you give her back the $2,000?
Yes.
Oh, you see, you can't even look at me in the eye and say I gave her back the $2,000.
She got it back.
I doubt it. So, Mr. Bush, you see you did have a choice, sir. If this was your car, you could have increased the premium on the insurance and had a $500 deductible. If the car had been stolen, they would have paid you practically everything for the car, right? That was your choice. You could have paid a little bit more insurance, and the car would have been completely covered. It was your car. That was your agreement with her. It was going to be your car. You just couldn't have a car in your name, couldn't get it financed because you had bad credit. Why did you have such bad credit?
It's not because I had bad credit, ma'am. It's because I had my Harley loan, and the car that she's driving is in my name also. So with 2 vehicle loans to get another vehicle.
Was the Harley insured on the same policy?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. 3 months after he left. He reinsured it through our policy without my knowledge.
Just a second. So you know how to get cars covered, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is this your first marriage?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did it last?
Less than 1 year.
Perfect. You have no children together?
No, ma'am.
Even better. You say somebody was watching over me.
Definitely. Somebody was watching over me.
Right. Slick. How much is owed on the car? How much are they coming after you for?
The remaining balance is $2,226.37.
$2,226?
Yes, ma'am.
How many cents?
37 cents.
Can I see the letter, please?
That's the statement, and that's the remaining balance.
And the name of this loan company is?
Franklin Capital Corporation.
You don't mind if he writes his check directly to them, do you?
No, ma'am. But I'm also suing for the November payment and December payment I made for him.
Oh, you did?
Yes, ma'am.
2226 plus
$535 for November. January's late fees of $15, $528 for February, and $15 late fees for that also.
I have $33.19. Mr. Bush, you have to act responsibly, sir. Ladies aren't going to bail you out forever. You're not that good looking. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,319. That's all.